Because we've started at the end here, where you're deep in it. But I want to understand the beginning a bit more.
Go on.
Like, how did all of this start? I guess.
How did it start?
Yeah. That's too tough a question.
Mania has something to do with it.
You was in a state of mania.
Mania.
How long did this initial period of mania last? And what would an outsider say were the symptoms?
Mania.
You're in London in your flat. You're
Yes.
studying in Kilburn. You're on your own, and you somehow ended up in a state of mania where everything took on a high meaning. Everything felt profound. Everything felt synchronized. Everything felt like you was living in another realm to the people that were walking past you in the street. You almost felt just completely detached and in your own little realm. But how did that start?
Do you know, I think if we're to use the
did you feel like did you feel a descent for the outside world? Were you looking to escape? Was it a search for an escape? I don't know. Or was it just a coincidence?
I think what has
how did it start?
Do you know what I think has something to do with it is a mind that the mind of a junkie, the mind of someone who truly, a mind that if was to go the wrong way would be addicted to heroin.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Have you always had addictions growing up?
This was I think it was the end game of
your addictive personality.
Of an addictive personality. That's what it is.
Because I know you. That's before you finish that sentence. That's what. Because you always had your different obsessions growing up. What were a few of them?
Do you know what?
Just for reference.
Just for reference.
There was a Warhammer.
Yeah, this is things like Warhammer, Yu-Gi-Oh, Guitar Hero. It's basically like kiddie fantasy sort of hobbies of imagination.
Yeah.
You know, things that were rich in sort of imaginative value.
And then I suppose the penultimate step was the mastering of the guitar. So then you've gone to Kilburn in pursuit of mastering it even more of this guitar. This is good. It's starting to make sense now. I'm glad it was like the end game of an addictive personality.
Yes.
So what didn't you get? You went to Kilburn addicted to the guitar.
I hope this is recorded.
You went to Kilburn addicted to the guitar.
It's recorded, yeah.
And the fact that you then became addicted to this mania means that was you unfulfilled from your addiction? Did you finish or not?
Do you know what it is? Oh, here. Oh, we're getting on some juicy stuff. I haven't even thought of this before, but you're actually prodding the really good questions here. The end game. This was delirium and euphoria brought on by the end game. This was the end game of an addictive personality, of chemical warfare. This was the pinnacle, a bubbling, piping hot cauldron of feel good neurochemicals that I was constantly in seek of.
Addicted to the gym as well.
Addicted to the gym.
So you can actually trace this back to when you were even like just a little boy.
Oh, I suppose so. I'd say
Always
so.
Always
seeking the high, but it wasn't through drug. It was
through doing something and getting
and focus.
Product out of it.
Yes, there was. And I got really. That was my high.
And then there's the gym, the guitar. Yeah, it's making sense.
And what happened by my? Oh, this is actually it. This actually is it. Let me just rant on for like 30 seconds straight. From this time of going to London during that time, there was this deep, constant fascination and research into the art of practice, into the art of that state. Actually, I was trying to scientifically understand the state that I was constantly seeking, the state I was addicted to. I managed to actually pinpoint and understand what it was.
And what was it?
Which was basically, it was a cross between the flow state and deep practice. They were both inseparable.
What's the flow state?
The flow state is this is the pinnacle of euphoric.
Flow state. You're in a state of flow.
Is the pinnacle of naturally induced euphoria of induced by utmost engagement in expressive and technical practices. Yeah, that's what it is. And actually, I think what brought it on in combination with LSD, which we'll get onto, but that it's almost like LSD was thrown into this piping hot this piping hot neurochemical cauldron. When I was almost just trying to, after understanding like the mechanics of what this actual addiction was, I learned how to cultivate it even more. So it wasn't just like a one-off. It was just like I learned by researching what this was. Researching what this was. There's a few.
What is the general line of syllabus from the pool of literature that exists on this?
Go on. What?
The stuff you researched.
The stuff I researched. This is stuff along the lines of
consensus.
So we're talking about
mastering
its core. It's the creodes of myelin wrapping.
So it's actually about the brain function.
This technical improvement and deep practice could be reduced down to a series of stages of which myelin was wrapped onto neural fibers. Myelin being the neural insulator to make the circuits run faster.
That's a natural scientific. That's
the
function of the brain.
And this is how
myelin is a chemical in the brain.
Myelin is what wraps the neural fibers. When your brain's making connections, it's like a neural highway. Yeah.
So you have to wrap the right pieces in myelin.
And motor skills that are used more and more often through and subjected to deep practice would become more insulated, more wrapped with myelin, and the myelin would make the circuits that it was wrapped with shoot faster, more efficiently.
So can you actually learn how to make that happen?
Yes, and you can and through what I did was learn in depth the finer details of how to induce that.
What books did you read this on?
Things like the book called this is in conjunction with this is the Talent Code in conjunction with
the Talent Code.
The Talent Code was a profound had a profound influence on me with research into the flow state. Look up anything to do with the flow state.
Yeah.
Both of them had profound.
But they actually told you how you could induce and make this happen.
And it actually.
So you learned how to do that.
It gave me the blueprint of what I'd been kind of looking for,
kind of already doing.
Yeah, kind of already doing.
But
it made me refine the process. Refine the process and elongate and cultivate this state, the state of addiction, the good bit of the process I was after. I learned how to induce that bit more and more and more. And the flow state, is compared with crack and heroin in terms of its actual neurochemical sort of explosions that are happening, but naturally induced.
So that's why you say that.
And so what I feel like this is a conjunction with like a mind that was literally overdosed. I was almost like overdosing myself. I was almost like so mentally
learning how to induce this flow state.
Yeah, and getting addicted to the flow state.
And actually
being able to control
neuro pathways.
Yes.
In a way.
Yes.
How much control? Not control.
How much control?
But sort of almost tinkering with your neural pathways.
Yes, it was almost like it felt like
by learning how to
tinkering with God's back room that says keep out on it. Going inside the door and seeing, going inside and seeing, so this is how. It was almost like when a magician goes backstage with you and goes, this is how the trick's done.
Yeah.
And you go, oh shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Shit.
So all this was happening, and then.
And so I think I'd induced this like intrinsic motive. This was like this. So the flow state is basically the.
So did you then get addicted to the flow state?
The flow state is the source of intrinsic motivation. it was inevitable that someone like me was going to get addicted. I was already addicted to it, and this just gave me the
just taught
blueprint.
you what it was and
Taught me-
how to work with it.
Yes,
But you'd already kind of naturally been doing it.
yes, and it made me I could refine that process. And
So
in
what
fact,
was the next step when you started knowing how to do it?
and then the guitar became the guinea pig for all of these new notions and
What came
new
after the
ideas.
guitar?
What came after the guitar?
Well,
This
let's
was
not
this
jump
was
the gun there.
this is what happened. This is what I feel like happened. I'm trying to say it, but I keep sort of blunting over
What
it.
happened?
I think this has actually came about. The catalyst for this was a brain that was almost on edge. It was almost like it was about to explode. It was almost like it was shaking, and it was like almost like about to burst with like it's like a fragile, unstable brain that was just so chemically like just bubbling. It was firing up with so much like so much mental like neural activity that and then throwing LSD into the mix just turned it into an atom bomb.
Before the LSD, when it's all bubbling away,
Mm-hmm.
how is that manifesting in your thought cycles? What are you always thinking of? What are you like scared of not doing something or desperate to do something or what? What was going on in your head? When you say you feel it bubbling, what?
Feel it bubbling.
What thoughts? What was the thoughts? What was you thinking? Where was you at?
If you could induce a heroin high on demand, naturally, you're going to do it. An addicted person is going to do that constantly and send themselves into a state of delirium.
Then?
What was
Why was you on edge?
Because
on edge when you wasn't in that state. You mean or what?
On and off, it's the state of an unstable euphoria that's
unstable.
Yeah, it's an unstable
What was
euphoria
unstable
because it was almost like it was overdosing on something. It was like my brain wasn't used to it. It was like I was being flooded with chemicals that I didn't know how to almost deal with it. Almost like I hadn't been equipped with the understanding to deal with it. Yeah, there was come downs from it, certainly there were come downs. But
so what chemicals were you triggering to be released?
Dopamine, serotonin,
all of it. Yeah.
Basically, the flow state is all
a natural high.
And it's all like these fight or flight chemicals are also released. It's like all the chemicals released. Like the flow state is the biggest concoction, the super stew. You know.
Experiencing all this behind closed doors, yeah.
This is all in deep isolation as well.
How did it affect your interactions with going outside and in your everyday life? Did it or didn't it? Did it make you isolate yourself?
It definitely marked a considerable, noticeable change in intellectual. Go on.
Is it still going?
38 minutes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool. Turned off the other day, didn't it? Make sure it don't do that.
Yeah. But yeah. It marked a noticeable increase in capacity and cognitive speed that it almost made sort of social interactions a little bit stagnant and predictable. No, a bit too stagnant and predictable.
Because they wasn't productive?
Because that being one of them, it almost became addictive and almost like...
Was you addicted to producing
music
at the time? Was it art or just music?
At this time that you're referring to, I was more addicted to actually the technical aspect.
Yeah.
It was getting lost in the actual... the technical acts that required so much brain activity, because the more brain activity stimulated, the higher the the greater the high.
So it made everyday life stagnant outside the bubble.
Outside the bubble, people were going 1 mile an hour. You know, there was no neural activity almost at all. It was almost like being in a traffic jam, a huge traffic jam. Like just going big, move it!
So just normal everyday acts and things that you'd probably have done before this time felt. How did they feel?
The metaphorical, all I can compare it is to, I've now sort of leveled up to a Ferrari just pelting down the highways.
So everything felt boring and.
It was just like having a Ferrari in a traffic jam, in a dead a dead standstill
So
traffic
going
jam.
to college would be boring.
It was
Going to
boring.
the
It
shop
was,
to get your food would be boring.
it just wasn't enough. Nothing was ever enough. I was like a junkie for it. That's what I could.
So
I used to say it to my
everyday
mum,
life
and she was,
became boring.
yeah, for a junkie. You can honestly really compare it so much with a heroin addict.
Yeah.
It's the exact same side effects and almost like perspectives. It was almost like the heroin addict doesn't want to sit and talk, or like sit and.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever enough for the heroin addict. He just wants to be high all the time. Nothing compares to his high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he isolates himself. The heroin addict pushes people away. He wants to be by himself and get fucked.
How did that make you feel about outside world then?
Impatient.
Impatient.
Yeah. Very impatient. And I suppose start sort of not manifesting, but building more and enhancing that kind of peon complex of like sort of. I suppose at the time
What's the peon complex?
I don't know. It put me on like. It made me feel like I was on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Like I was making so much happen, and these pesky peons were stuck in
What was
standstills.
you actually using the flow state for?
Was I using the flow state for at the time? This was purely for technical improvements in the guitar.
What refining your skill down to the bone.
Yes. Yeah. On purely guitar.
Like getting to a stage where you're brilliant at guitar and then saying, I need to go 10 steps higher than this.
Yes. Because
like anyone would have said, oh my god, he's amazing, and then taking that like 10 levels higher.
Yeah. I suppose this mania gave you this drive that I want to be the best ever, and I talked about this before, but it's like all my sort of childish years growing up, being the eldest in a group of eldest in a group. It was always like I had to be the best, everything. And now the stage has gone from my family house. Now it was a global stage. I have to be the best in the world, not the best in the house. And so I can't not be the best. I have to be the best.
So because you was at home improving and really refining and getting to be the best, that alienated you from normal life.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was happening was because I was so repulsed by that normal life, this added motivation of if we could sort of, if we really if we bring our absolute internal motivations down to just two pathways, being love and fear, they're the two strongest motivations, being love and fear. If loving the act, and then fearing not doing the act was this supercharged motivation. If I didn't fear not doing it, or if I didn't fear not doing well, or I didn't fear living that 9-to-5 life, that's half the motivation gone. The underlying terror of that fear was probably 50% of the motivation.
What was it exactly you were scared of?
Of having to live that life, of the people that I was looking around and seeing that the life that the world outside my door.
Eyes? What do you see when you look outside the window then? World outside.
Monotony, stagnant schedule, uncreative, stale, devolving, weak.
Why weak?
This is a mind. I saw minds that were dying. We don't use one of the rules of myelin. Is that if this neural pathway, this neural circuit isn't being activated, if information isn't being shooted through this pathway, the myelin starts unwrapping itself. The wires start unwrapping, and therefore the speed goes down. The technical proficiency of these acts go down. And I was just looking around, just seeing everyone just with unwrapping circuits. I was seeing everyone devolving. I was seeing a society that was just, the end game of it was dementia, a completely unwrapped neural circuit system that was just dysfunctioning. But I saw that as the end game of that path. I wanted the opposite. I wanted I wanted the superhighway. I wanted the speed. I wanted the cognition. I wanted to. I don't know. It conflicted. When I looked outside the window, that world conflicted too much. Like
How did
so much.
the unwrapping manifest in them? How could you tell that was what was
The
happening?
lack of the creodes of myelin wrapping stages were just completely non-existent in that lifestyle. And that lifestyle didn't involve reaching for more, it didn't involve deep focus, it didn't involve deep introspection, it didn't involve any of that. Those qualities, those traits were void. They didn't exist.
Why don't
So I was repulsed by that. I couldn't stand it,
What lifestyle though?
What life? What do you mean?
What was everyone doing that made you feel this way about them? Why would they go so? What were they missing out on?
Yeah,
what were they disillusioned by?
It's not more of a case of what were they doing. It's more of a case of what weren't they doing. What wasn't they doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what? It seemed like
where were they going wrong?
It seemed like a lack of real immediate engagement with the present, with the moment, an unseized moment. Too many unseized moments were flowing by, squandered chances to grab life by the balls were just flying by. You know, winning lottery tickets were just going by.
What would be the lottery ticket?
The lottery ticket could be. This is a life full of just a series of this endless, what's the word, conveyor belt of potential winning lottery tickets that just weren't even being grabbed.
For them to be the winner of the lottery ticket,
mm-hmm.
What would that mean? You're saying missed chances
mm-hmm.
to seize the winning lottery ticket.
Yes.
What are they missing? What are they not getting? Missed chances
mm-hmm.
to grab the lottery ticket. If they grabbed it, what would that be for them? What is the overall? I suppose your metaphor being the highest of human achievement. They're not achieving something that they could. So what could they be achieving? Is that what you're saying?
It's the missed grasping of inclination. Turning a blind eye to intuition, to inclination. Working against the grain. To enter deep practice or even entertain the flow state, there's the prerequisite for it is curiosity. Is genuine interest. You can't, to access the flow state or deep practice requires immense curiosity, and to put your to sideline curiosity was a death sentence, was suicide, and that's what I've seen.
Sidelining it, or is it being suppressed? How much does our outside environment have a play on these people?
It's a dysfunctional value system, a dysfunctional imposed value system that prioritised the wrong things, that didn't prioritise your burning curiosity, your inclinations.
I think everyone's got something, a calling,
100%.
an inner calling then.
And they're.
Are you saying that they're not listening to their intuition? I think everyone's got something in them.
Mm-hmm. Every single person, and it's very prevalent when you're a child.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Because you talk a lot about maintaining that playful spirit, that childlike imagination. How important is that?
The playful child only does what they love. They can't lose. The flow state is at the fingertips for the child because they're doing what they love. The child knows how to find a current,
and that is universal. We all have that. Everybody.
We all have that.
So
and
you're
it's
saying
smothered.
that's
the smothered notion, the trait that's smothered. is pursuing that that underlying curiosity, this inclination for things that the child seeks out because he only does the things that he wants to do,
So
nothing else.
That's what you was walking around and seeing everyone void of.
Mhm.
And
People
that's
who
what
put
you
those
felt that you were still in possession of.
and not just in possession of, but was actually being re-empowered more and more because I was understanding that notion more and more, and it was becoming more and more clear that this, the smothered desire of this lost inner child in society, this inner child had just been just long gone. The gaffer tape was over the fucking your inner child's mouth, and it was just put to bed.
So in what sense is it important to not grow up? Because it's all about growing up, isn't it, in Western society?
Your childish inclinations are your body's map onto what you really want to be doing. If you are, I guarantee, if you are someone now who's working a 9 to 5, if you don't have to work anymore, what do you want to do? They say, I don't know.
Why don't they know?
Why don't they know? Why don't they know? They've severed the connection with the child mind. The child mind. If you ask a child what do you want to do, they'll know exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because it's that childish inclination that leads them to have fun. To a child is so curious, you know. It's so curious. It knows what it wants to do. It's got loads of inclinations that it can pursue. And the adulthood, teenagehood, really, adolescence, that's where those inclinations are fed. That's teenage. The teenage times is where those inclinations start fruiting. You know, that seed pops out through the fucking grass during teenage. Those childish inclinations that we have, those things you love doing as a kid, you probably still love doing them now because they're your inclinations, your personal, original inclinations that fit your personality type. These series of, maybe it's technical movements, maybe it's artistic endeavours, forms of mediums of expression that we really identify with as a child. They really resonate with us when we're a child, and we smother that, and we can't pursue anything properly without the curiosity and the passion, and you can't fake that. That's kind of like the rule here. You can't fake it. You can't fake being good, because to get good, you have to have the curiosity, and you can't fake curiosity.
So how do you take that childhood curiosity into the adult world?
How do you
help it evolve rather than let it be smothered?
How do you let it evolve?
Yeah. Or how have you managed to, or how can people? Because it's being smothered by the professional world.
Mm-hmm.
Just the rat race, I guess. Just the prescribed paradigm that we're living in.
Oh, prescribed paradigm, I like that.
It automatically smothers it. How have you managed to not let it smother? How have you let your child, the child in you, sort of live on?
Let it thrive.
Yeah, how have you let it live on?
There's no other way than simply, it's almost a really dissatisfying answer, but it's the truth, is by simply letting it, getting out of the way of yourself. The child isn't in the way of itself. As an adult, we start getting in the way of ourselves. The child isn't in the way of itself in the sense that it's not engaged, it's not concerned with outcomes. It has no preconceived outcomes going into activities, and so it has utmost engagement with now. It's not concerned at all. There's not even a percentage of brain power spent. What's going to happen after this? What's the result of this? Or why am I here? It's just concerned with being here and doing this because it loves it, because it's having fun. There's a playful element to the approach of the child. It has to be in play. It has to be playful. A child doesn't want to march. A child wants to play, wants to run. There's a playful approach and a playful element that has to be taken. Otherwise,
So is
It's
this
an endgame.
Is this essentially what you were taking to New Levels?
Yes.
You found your favourite game
Mhm.
and learned how to induce a flow state
Mhm.
while playing that game.
Yes, getting lost in that game. But contrary to what I just said, the key, which I found out, was the combination of the two was perfect synergy. The synergy to the top was a combination of the two. In fact, that's the prerequisites for the flow state, is the deep, militant focus.
The fear of not doing
the fear of not the fear of not doing it. Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's combining it's integrating the motivating assets of both love and fear into one super paradigm. That's a nice sentence. That's the truth. That's what it is.
That is so nice.
That is what it is. And it couldn't be beaten. It couldn't be beaten. You're onto a winner. That's the winning lottery ticket. You know, and when we find out what that is, you win. You win at life. You don't even have to make money doing it. You've already won. And that's what I was looking around, seeing losers. People that were losing at life because they'd sold out that inclination that was free.
So you think if they'd have listened or not got led astray, they'd have found what it was that they loved to do.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're doing what you love to do
Mm-hmm.
at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and you're entering this sort of state of mania and
Mm-hmm.
sort of discontent with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
What happened when you threw LSD into the mix?
LSD became the catalyst that enchanted the child's game with an imagination more exotic imagination, a more
grown.
The what?
It was more grown. It was a child imagination. But
Yes, it was actually almost like it was lacing the childish imagination's world with even more enchantment, reconfiguring the child's imagination. I don't know, it enhanced the belief in childish imagination to get like. It's almost like it is. The paradigm is that, you know, you're an adult engaging in this childish imagination, being aware that it's imagination, and there's a very clear cut between this is imagination and this is quote unquote reality. LSD contaminated the two. LSD enhanced the imaginative belief system into it blurred the lines of this imagined game to reality. It blurred the line. It made the imaginative game more real. It made the child's game less like an imagined world. It laced it with a reality. That's what it did. That's what it is.
So what direction did that take for you then?
That road leads you further and further away from the motherland, suburbia.
Yes.
You know,
so
this is where you really push the boat out.
What was you up to?
That's what I was up to. It was more. What was I thinking?
That's what I mean.
What was going on? What is going on now? I'm in the pinnacle of that feeling right now again.
I know.
So I can describe it. So I can describe it a lot easier. Enchantment, losing it, tiptoeing the fine line of madness, tiptoeing the fine line of what's acceptable, walking the path that you know is not understandable to anyone else. Acquiring trinkets that you know have no value in the world to bring them back. To bring them back to the mainland, they would have no value. Well, a fragile world that the motherland was almost against. The motherland wanted to burn down this world, the world of pixies.
What's the motherland?
The motherland, the
Fucking hell, I'm struggling to keep this on the track.
Really? Oh, am I getting too?
No, you're not. You're not.
I don't know where we're going with it, but I know it's quite interesting.
It is.
It's quite interesting.
What's the motherland?
The motherland is suburbia, dystopia, yeah.
Dystopia.
Yeah. Motherland is this dystopia, And it's got a war on the pixie land, That's what it feels like.
So what was your experience in the media aftermath of LSD?
What was I experiencing?
Yeah, what were the thought circles? Is that what opened up even more to the pixie land?
Yes.
Oh, it's hard to
Yes.
grasp of it when you haven't been through it.
But it's language doesn't do it justice. Language
It doesn't.
It doesn't have the power. That's why music was the only way to express this. Like we're kind of going over what we said yesterday, but music was this counter response to these bizarre experiences that I couldn't put into words.
What bizarre experiences?
Bizarre feelings.
What did you feel like? What was going on?
They can't be put into words. They're magic that transcends human experience.
So do you feel completely submerged in a different reality at this point?
Like you're in the
What
living
had
room.
changed?
What
had
changed?
the blurred lines revealed? What had it revealed? The blurred lines. What was you seeing differently? What had changed?
The laws of what this was all about. The laws of what we were allowed to conceive. The laws of what we were allowed to conceive possible for our experience were just put to dust. And almost like, I had to reconfigure a new value system. I had to reconfigure a new belief system because everything had just been desolated. The pre-installed ideologies of the motherland were just being held to rights, and they were just dissipating into gas.
What kind of things?
The embodiment of mysticism and of magic, of God, of spirituality, became not something that you talked about, but something that was very much felt, really felt.
So what were the new set of values and beliefs that you slowly started to develop? You believed in this magic?
There was this slow dawning of realization that my belief systems were becoming that of the so-called madman's.
Which would be what sort of general ideas were you having?
That God would be speaking to you. Why would God speak to you?
You felt like you was in constant contact with God.
Yeah. It just dismantled notions of coincidence. Completely dismantled it.
Everything was a message.
Everything was a message. Everything was significant. There was a deeper communication with me than it enchanted. It revealed that the world, this mechanistic, reductionist, scientific overview was glossed with magic. A lacquer of shamanic impossibilities. How was I communicating
Yeah.
with it? Through art. Art was the medium. That's the language of the Gaian mind. This was the way
But
to
how
talk
was
to
it
it.
talking to you?
How was it talking to me?
Yeah.
It spoke to me through synchronicities and through art.
What,
But only art when you was at...
synchronicities. Is there any significant moments that still stand out to you vividly?
Of what
In
particular?
terms of synchronicities.
In terms of synchronicities.
Or moments of real strong contact. Or, yeah.
But during that
moments
period.
that feel significant from that period, yeah. So any that would stick out to you?
Yeah.
Can you share them?
Seeing... this is quite funny, actually. Even when my girlfriend had made me a meal and put tomato sauce on it, the pattern of the sauce was that of the devil.
Was it really?
Yeah. Telling me this food was bad for me or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. I remember seeing the red sauce. It was in a pattern. It might have even been a swastika. I think something that I might have even saw a swastika or something. It's something I can't remember exactly what it was, but that kind of thing, you know, stuff that almost would have no relevance or no significance whatsoever to the dystopian mind. These things held a profound significance. They were profoundly meaningful. When I remember seeing
any other moment.
a lot about the girlfriend as well. They seem to have profound moments, and I think these profound moments happen in moments of heightened elation. That's another thing. That's one of the prerequisites, I think, for these synchronistic.
Heightened elation.
Yeah, heightened elation in euphoria, induced by whatever means.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the phoenix tattoo on my girlfriend that just blew my mind at one point.
What did it mean?
Phoenix. It was me. This was communicating that the phoenix. To get rid of her would be I'd become the phoenix and burn to dust and then rise again from the ash as a new form. But just the smallest things. But I mean, I think the noticeable pattern is moments of heightened elation, heightened euphoria, might have been maybe drug induced or post sort of flow state induced, love induced. When you're around your girlfriend, you've got neurochemical sort of cooking pot going on there, and like I suppose it is moments of sort of heightened elation. And like to bring us back, I think all of this has something to do with working the neural stew into such a piping hot fucking mix that it was just like prone for explosion.
Yeah. And then LSD just stripped away at the canvas and let you jump into another realm. So obviously let's come back to the present day now. Because that pattern's still going on now. I mean, after you posted that video of you playing how many instruments at once. So that pattern's still occurring in terms of you're still trying to get to the next level. You've now mastered the camera since then. So this is still a pursuit. Right now, in this present moment, how far into the pursuit do you feel? What are the next steps of the pursuit?
He's like, how far are you into it? Well, the question is, how far does this go?
Yeah.
How far can it go?
Yeah.
All we have to do is look unto Gaia to see where this map goes. How far evolved artistic consciousness can go.
When you wake up, what are you trying to achieve in that next 16 hours you're awake? What's your perfect day? What are you living that day for?
Oh, do you know what? To use the metaphor would be, Ron, I hope this doesn't sound too underwhelming, but I wake up and I'm a hungry fish and I'm looking to the surface of the water, waiting for the Gaian fishing rod to throw a line in.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I don't know what it's going to be. But when the guy in mine slings out the hook, I'm there hungry. I'm at the surface waiting.
So what is it throwing out?
What is it throwing out?
Ideas?
Threads. It's throwing out a path. It's throwing out this a stream of consciousness to follow today. It's throwing out a thread, a rope, for me to follow that starts that day's adventure. A point of interest, something that grabs me. I don't know what it's going to be.
Do you have a plan the next day of your life?
I can't, and every time I do, I hate it.
Really?
I can't even live the same day twice. It makes you feel ill. I get really depressed because I know it's not real.
How
I'm
come
forcing
you don't
something.
work? How come you have no commitments?
Mainly because when I don't work, so I don't want to. But I wouldn't call it work.
How come you don't have a job to go to?
How come I don't have a job to go to?
How come you don't have to plan the next day of your life? How have you landed yourself in this situation?
Ask one of those questions. I don't know where to start.
Why haven't you got a job?
Why haven't I got a job? I see it as a squandering of my life. It'd be a squandering of my insides. I'd like to think I'm on a self apprenticeship of artistic introspection. I'm on a self apprenticeship of trying to find out, who am I? How do I fit into all this? Why am I fucking here? I need loads of thinking time for that.
How do you afford to live?
That's a massive fucking question.
Don't you need to afford to live?
Well, £5 up at Biggleswade train station. But what I really mean to say is,
have you got time?
I've been deemed mad. The system has deemed me mad.
Did they?
They've deemed me mad.
When? How?
A few years ago. 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm on their books.
Was that after this state of mania?
Yeah, they caught me just at the right time.
How?
They caught me at the peak of whatever that is.
How did they catch you?
They caught me. I was set up.
Sure.
Like I was saying, during that time, that period, your actions are becoming increasingly different. You're starting to stick out like a really sore thumb.
Yeah, but to you, it's all real.
It's all real to you, but how you're acting is starting to really, really become poignant in this small society. And people.
What, was you going to college in this state of mania?
Yeah, I go to college.
So what kind of things
I'd
would
be
you
at
be
home
doing in college that would be ringing alarm bells for the other people? What sort of things were you turning up and doing?
I'd occupy one of the rooms, one of the lecture rooms, where there was a piano. That maybe the room wasn't being used at that time. I'd shut all the lights off and put on the projector some kind of fucked up horror sequence of images.
Yeah.
And play some really dark, dissonant piano stuff and chant in trance, wearing in black leather.
What? Was your face paint on?
Yeah, a little bit. I'd have some black makeup on my eyes.
And just chant in the dark.
Yeah, when I chant, I say I'm kind of like, I'm in sort of trance. I'm in what I'd call a spontaneous trance, where you completely get out of the way of yourself, and whatever comes out comes out. It might be words.
And this was
singing.
after the LSD.
Yeah,
the LSD really helped you get out of the way of yourself even more, and just do these things even in public. Now it sounds like you're probably still in a state of isolation, but you've even lost the care to see normal. Not see normal, but the things you wanted to do. If you wanted, was there a state of did it ever get to the point where you was now deliberately going out of your way to just show that?
Yes, so the cultural boundaries
You thought, fuck it, by this
were irrelevant.
What other sort of things were you doing?
They lost relevancy.
Any other moments?
Yeah, obviously, trying to stick to a linear syllabus was difficult for a
Wandering mind.
wandering mind like that, and so obviously the tasks were met with bizarre responses as per usual.
Yeah. What? Because did they feel almost bland?
They were so bland, almost, and it's so bland that I wanted to bring.
You wanted to take the piss out.
Oh, it was a form of mockery. Yeah,
So
I wanted to mock them.
What kind of things did you do?
I wanted to mock them. Anything that allowed any space for creativity whatsoever was met with just pure satire. So sour you couldn't even sniff it.
So what did you do?
Of course,
Some of these are
the most memorable is of course my penis and my anus.
Yeah, I know that one already. Is there any others?
There was
That was the pinnacle.
I'd say that is the pinnacle of, in terms of what I showed to the college anyway.
Yeah, so you might as well just say.
Of what I showed to the college.
What was my penis and my anus?
That was, well, ironically, at that time, going through, that's another conversation itself, but I mean, going through this state of profound sexual self-love, a full-blown sexual affair was internally happening.
What?
With myself, with my, I was in a hypererotic sexual affair with myself at the time.
What,
and I was
trying
to express that. I was trying to express a most ridiculously deep artistic notion, but through almost sort of satire amongst the chaff that were talking about their experiences on the train, or I don't know, using three chords to describe how, I don't know, a long lost love, or I don't know, just the usual stuff.
Yeah.
And this what I was doing, and I wanted to do it artistically. Obviously, there couldn't be any other way of doing it.
Yeah.
But it was just so far out, so far out.
So you dressed
eons
up as
out.
a woman.
So I dressed up as a granny, but I was supposed to be a granny, but I mean, it turned into some weird, some female toad character, dressed in drag. But it was just this bizarre creation, this really bizarre creation that manifested in a song talking about self-love with, the overarching theme of my penis and my anus. When will you come true? Which, what that meant was, when will my penis meet my anus and come true? When will I get to fuck my own ass?
Yeah.
That was the theme of the song. Which no one understood.
Up a whole other can of worms about the sexual, the intimate affair with you, reflection.
Mm-hmm.
But before we see that side of things.
Yeah, that's that. Leave that on the side. That's another thing.
So after going out, was it someone from the college that reported you to the system?
Yeah, and initially, acts like that are absolutely bizarre.
Met with.
They're met with whatever you imagine they're met with.
Yeah.
And
can you blame people for being like that?
No, you can't. People were concerned. People weren't hating me. They were
concerned,
pitying me.
They didn't understand.
They didn't understand it. It was so far out.
Can you admit how far out was it to you now?
Yeah, it's just so.
Not just the piece.
So
I mean the state you was in from an outside view. Yeah, could you blame anyone?
No, I
if
couldn't.
It wasn't happening to you, would you mock and say, "Fucking what a nutter"?
I became one of those people that your mum would say that your mum would make the pair of you cross the road if they were walking against you on the side of the street. Someone that you.
Was you aware of that's what people thought of you?
Yeah, increasingly, yeah. Increasingly, yeah. It was becoming increasingly apparent, yeah.
Did you ever question yourself through this period?
Yes, it's. I mean, when you're met constantly only with that, questions do arise.
So I know you mean you said it's all about going with it, but was there moments where you scared yourself and thought, "Oh, are you alright, James?" Did that
Being
come
scared
about
only
often?
happened when you wasn't going with it. And do you know what is? I've been recently thinking about the metaphor to describe going with it, which is like, say you were trying to balance on a unicycle, and you were literally swaying like aggressively side to side, just about to fall off constantly. But the guy in front of you, your mentor, was just saying, whatever you do, just don't jump off.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, you're not going to fall over. And so you'd sway as far down, almost to like a complete fucking right angle.
Yeah, but did it
But you couldn't jump off. And it was terrifying.
Did you ever question yourself?
Yes.
Did you ever stop and think maybe I need help? Did you ever feel like you needed?
Deep down, no.
Did you ever not want to be in that state anymore?
Yeah.
Did you ever want to return to the state you was in before?
No.
Did it ever get tiring? Was it too scary?
Yeah, but there is moments of profound horror. There was an underlying horror to it. The path to enlightenment was, its sister was horror and vice.
But you just kept going with it. So what happened when they reported you? Or what? How did that happen? What happened?
Getting banished from the workshop was...
What workshop?
The workshop of transcendency, which was the college, which I was spending 9 to 10 hours a day practicing music.
Yeah.
On a concoction of drugs that could make that.
Your own workshop, you mean?
The college had became my own workshop.
The college?
Yeah.
You was going in?
Yeah, I was living
doing
at college.
your own thing?
Yeah, I'd find a room.
Playing 9 to 10 hours a day?
Yeah. I'd just find a room and set up shop.
People knew you was in there?
Yeah, people knew I was in there.
What, you just didn't go to classes? You just went and did your own practice?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened?
When you tell the gatekeeper that you would die for the cause, that's not gonna. That's alarm bells ring.
So in your going into college,
mm-hmm.
you mean in your interactions passing by teachers
mm-hmm.
or fellow students,
mm-hmm.
you wasn't trying to hide the state you was in?
I wasn't aware that I had to. I wasn't aware that I had to hide this.
So it didn't occur to you that what you were saying must have sounded outrageous?
Not really, no.
But looking back, you probably was saying some mad shit.
Yeah, stuff that you can't
told
say.
Who that you would die for the cause?
The leader of the college. He called me in for a meeting because they were concerned about my behaviour.
Because you was doing whatever you was doing in the room all night.
Mm-hmm.
So what did they call you in and ask? What was their line of inquiry?
So I was a cause for concern.
Because?
Just the way I was acting, my behaviour was a cause for concern.
And you told them you'd die for the cause.
Mm.
What did you mean when you said that?
And when they threatened to halt my studies.
What they said, you can't be in that room that long, or whatever.
Banish me from the college.
Kick you out.
Yeah. Put my studies on hold, they said.
Yeah.
When they threatened me with that, I said, I would die for this cause.
Yeah.
And that pretty much sealed the deal that they were going to halt my studies.
So they halted your studies and did they talk?
Yeah. And so then they halted the studies, go back home, walk through the door, the disappointing, changed prodigal son.
Oh, you moved out of your flat?
Yeah, I had to. I had to move back to Sandy. Moved back home to live with my family.
How long did you live there for after they kicked you out, though? Not long?
No, not long at all. 2 weeks. A month.
Were you still... You hadn't been kicked out when Migo and Lamar came up that time, then?
I wasn't even... No, that was years after.
What?
That was years after.
What do you mean years after?
I think you've missed out on a whole section of story you don't even know about.
So you moved back to Kilburn after you moved home?
Mm-hmm.
You moved home then went back again? Okay.
but not to study. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I'm confused. Sorry. So they kicked you out and you came home.
hmm And coming home, these kind of actions were even more bizarre because people that love you
So by
are
then
even
you
more
haven't been
concerned.
picked up by.
No, I've been
No,
sectioned.
right,
No,
yeah,
no,
okay.
no, no. That's when
Came
the first
home,
sectioning happens. Is at
and
home.
I sort of. This is before me and you got back in
Yes.
contact.
Yes, it is.
And we hadn't spoken for several years. I don't know how long, but while that was going on, we weren't in contact when this whole experience was going on. But I sort of remember my mum briefly mentioning like, oh,
James had gone mad.
James went well.
He's gone
He
mad.
walks around the streets playing a penny whistle, dressed as a devil. And I remember her telling me the story of like, I think soon, not long after you'd been back, and sort of, I think she'd been round to see your mum one day, right, and you'd burst through the door and called them all peasants and this and that. So you brought back this attitude, but even more accentuated.
Mm.
What did it feel like coming home?
It was the psychedelic madman, tainted with a bitter twist.
What was the bitterness from getting kicked out?
Mm.
Did you bring back an anger out?
Yeah.
Did you come home?
Bring back an anger, a bitterness, a chip on my shoulder.
What was the chip?
They didn't get me. They wouldn't love me. I just wanted people to love me. That's what it was. Just wanted to be accepted. Just really wanted people to love me. Really, I had a hang up about people not liking me at that time. Really had a hang up about it.
Really?
Yeah, I just wanted people to like me. I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be liked. I hated when someone had a bad
you
vibe.
was ostracised. How different was the James that came back to the one that went to London the first day?
The James that came back was not the same person.
No?
A whole different value system.
What did you...
A whole different value system. A different person. That made them feel queasy. That made them feel uncomfortable. It's an unpredictability.
Scared?
Scared. Untamed. Distrustful.
You felt like they didn't really know you?
I was almost like I was a bit dangerous, a bit of a liability. Dangerous. I'll never forget a time used to hurt me and make me even more bitter hearsay. Yeah, I heard James has been ill. Those kind of things. That kind of things like that. Like that.
My mum would have said to me, yeah.
Those kind of stories, we're ruminating more and more. And I get hearsay of it. It made me even more twisted and angry and bitter.
So what would you do at home?
They'll never understand. I'll never forget a time when Mum's friends come over and they brought their child, probably a little girl that was probably around 8 or 9. And I'd been delegated to the smallest little hovel in the top of the house.
What do you mean?
Well, I'd come back and my bedroom had been taken, so I was in a new little room in the corner of the house.
Yeah.
And I was up in there. I remember that the little girls were playing amongst themselves. And my mum's friend's girl wandered sort of up near my domain. And something along the lines of, the mum didn't want her out there with me.
Really?
Alone.
What, you heard that?
Yeah. Yeah. That made me feel like shit. I really am on the periphery now. It's how people feel. Just bizarre. I don't know. I was just met with strangers.
Going through this
met with notions and I suppose just like
you felt like you couldn't really connect with.
Completely disconnected with everything that was going on.
What was you doing? You moved home, and then what sort of zone was you in? What was you trying to do?
I was desperately trying to live a lost dream, fight a lost cause.
What did it feel like getting kicked out?
The whole world.
So you come back home and you felt
stripped me of my realm of fantasy. The fairy world was stolen from me. It made me bitter. Curse the day they stole my world from me. They might have killed them all.
What, when they kicked out of college?
Yeah.
What, 'cause it stopped you being able to be away from everything in your own zone?
The
10
workshop.
hours practice
Yeah.
in the workshop.
And the bubble.
Back to your flat in London.
The insular bubble of thought and theory. And I felt like right as that happened, I was on the breakthrough. I was just on the breakthrough of whatever it was, you know.
You was trying to get to.
Or whatever the thing was, I was just... Because everything was so significant and so important.
And playing and reading and thinking and playing and
Yeah.
thinking and reading and reading and playing and playing and thinking.
Profusely.
And you felt like you was going towards something.
Yeah. I felt like the light was starting to... The tunnel was starting to open up. And light was starting to come and I was snatched out.
So what was the revelation you was having though, before you were snatched out?
And that's a whole different conversation.
Is it?
Yeah. I've got to go back where I was before. But
I was snatched away.
But I brung that world
back home. And how did that fit in?
And it didn't map on. It was a lost dream.
I
was trying to chase that lost that world, and it was just.
How did you react when you realised it wasn't compatible with moving back home? You must have been
even more limbo. Yeah, limbo, conscious limbo. What the fuck's going on? And I could feel the magic slipping through my fingers.
Really?
It was like I was holding a handful of sand, and I was just watching my magic just drip through my fingers.
So you couldn't sit and play for 9 hours a day anymore?
I couldn't do that. I couldn't indulge in the world, in the magic. The mother of magic is a trance-like
So how did you react?
default. Isolation, anger. It made my art go even darker. What was expressed out of me, because when you go into trance, try to express real art. When you don't get in the way of yourself at all, and the pencil hits the paper without not knowing what you're doing, whatever's truly supposed to come out will come out. And when I was in that state, what was coming out through piano or musically,
guitar or piano,
was what was coming out through that was worrying to everyone. It was noticeably.
Why? I could hear it. I think I remember my mum telling me like you'd be playing dark piano in your room with high candles in the middle of the night. Or along those lines.
Yeah, that was it. And it'd be because I was grappling with the art of music and how it actually affected people. Like I was grappling the inner workings of how this was actually affecting people. And
what was you grappling?
I was grappling with the depths of musical vocabulary, and the dark side of it was to be expressed with such a broad palette of musical sort of harmonic possibilities. I could express whatever was actually supposed to come out could actually be expressed. And what was coming out was dark, was scary, was alarming. People were scared. There was this nutcase in the top room, in this little room, playing this terrifying music.
But because you got so good at it, you're saying you was able to transcend.
Yes, to truly express it. And
how dark you felt.
Yeah, truly.
That dark.
It was actually, I could actually communicate how I was feeling.
So they're hearing this stuff in the loft.
They're hearing stuff that they haven't heard before because they've not.
So it's that good.
It's that good and it's that
dark.
And it accurately expressive. It was.
So was it scaring them?
It was terrifying. You know, and I had to be in trance and it almost scared me playing it because this was real stuff. This was coming out. This was.
Are you still in this state of mania, like massively?
I'm on a resurgence to that what we're talking about, but the level up from that now is where I'm at right now.
So what sort of trance?
It was coming out, and when it came out, my mum, who's a psychic and she doesn't know it yet, was the most receptive to the energy that I was emitting.
Know it yet.
She doesn't. I don't think she's aware, but her antenna is receptive to what the energy that was being emitted out of me. She was translating it not sonically but emotionally. It was resonating with her as a psychic. It was resonating with her. Takes one to know one. Okay. Emotionally, just the
Okay. All right.
that's beside. But it was resonating with her in such a way that it was genuinely causing her like pain. You know, it was so
She
jarring
listened
for
to
her.
you playing it upstairs.
It wasn't just like music that was coming out that was kind of like, oh, that's kind of dark. It was like she was actually
Feeling what you was feeling, not.
she was doing what I'd been researching, what I'd been learning how to do,
What was she
becoming the mage,
doing? What was she doing?
manipulating, casting the spells through music, which is what
Becoming the mage.
becoming the wizard, the mage, casting the spell,
You was doing
the sonic spell,
and she was
Yeah.
picking up.
and she was picking up on it, and she was
On
becoming.
what? Just
Go on.
what was she picking
What
up?
she pick the sound waves were pregnant with my pain, with my suffering, with an emotional quality that isn't vibrating particles. That's embedded with.
What could you learn that, and that's what you say is the spell, being able to almost take the emotional particles
Mhm.
into sound waves.
And yeah, that's basically.
The emotion was in the vibrating particles.
And those who were receptive to it.
So what was she?
And my mum
Where's
was
this
getting
going?
increasingly scared and alarmed
Yeah. So
because
what-
she was my family. Like I said, my family, the rest of them were kind of going, "Oh, that's kind of dark shit."
Yeah.
My mum was. It was actually translating onto. My mum was actually feeling it the way I was casting the spell, and she was the person who called the cops.
She did.
Mm.
She was that worried for you. Did you talk to your family like in this period?
I couldn't. Everything I said was almost a liability.
Really?
I couldn't say anything because I was scared. Every word I was saying was like tiptoeing on the edge of shit.
It's gone nuts.
Yeah. How fuck? It was terrifying in that sense. For the evenings, it got to a point where I was being plagued by such sort of night terrors
What kind of terror?
that people were out to kill me. People were out to get me.
Oh,
Everyone
really?
was after me. Yeah. That the synchronicities were like so. They just kept amping up and amping up and amping up until.
So do you think you've maybe hit a state
I
which
st-
did need was too far? A bad badness.
Yeah, there was starting to become
It
parts of
wasn't
it.
all
No, it wasn't all gravy train. No,
great, glorious
No.
Wonderland experience.
no.
Do you think that
It was
you
after
did
the
hit a
Wonderland.
point that actually did
The dip.
pass into the realm of maybe I do need some help? Not help, but this is an unhealthy.
I'm not enjoying this anymore.
Yeah,
I want to get off the roller
not
coaster.
Even that you're not
I want to get off.
enjoying it, but like
I want to
this
get
is
off
a
this.
not good. This is a bad form of badness.
It was
gone
always.
too far. Did you?
It was
did
after. It was post euphoric trance. The evenings, nighttime when I was exhausted. That's when they come. You know, the little men
What
in the
little-
cupboards. You know, the little green men in the cupboards with
Really?
knives. Yeah, they wanted to kill you. Everything was out to kill you. Every
what little
reflection.
green
You know when you're laying down, you're a kid, and it's funny because when I started looking into the hemispheres, it started to make even more sense. But your threat detection system in your brain, the hypervigilance that's always on the lookout, it's always looking for potential threats. Yeah, it's your like your instinct as prey became hyper amplified to the sense where it could almost make up things. It was so vigilant, yeah, that it saw everything as a threat.
So
It's almost hyped up, you know. The hemispheres become sort of.
So is it almost
Super.
inevitable that runs parallel?
Yeah, it ran
with
parallel.
the fact that you're in a hyper state of euphoria,
Yeah.
playing this wonderful.
Yes.
You're creating your art and you're manifesting, and
They run
almost
parallel.
You're almost in being an alchemist, and it runs parallel So the higher states you reach, the lower states you hit.
Yeah.
It was really.
And that's when I needed the
polarised
medication. Yeah.
In the evenings.
In the evenings, going to
So
sleep.
wait, so your mum caused.
Right, where are we going here?
I want to know your experience with the story.
Yeah.
I want you to take me through that stage. Getting sectioned.
After a series of sort of alarming experiences at home with my mum, being just sort of generally frightened of what I was going through, she called the cops. They turn up.
Is this when you're having these night terrors, thinking everything's out to kill you?
Yeah.
You reach that stage, and your mum knew that.
Yeah, I was having them, but what made her call the police was after. I actually distinctly remember the moment when it happened. I'm at the keyboard. I'm playing a synth sound, which is like I'm playing a strings synth. It's almost like a synth, like a synthesizer basically. Yeah. I'm playing like a horror synth theme, just really vile, dark stuff.
Yeah.
The candles are on in the pit. I'm in the black. I'm wearing black. Got my black eyeliner on. I've got sort of like devil face. No, I've got more than black eyeliner. I've got a full face of devil makeup.
Red makeup.
Yeah, and police are called. My mum tells me the police are here. I just remember freaking out.
Why did she call them though? Just because she knew you was playing.
There was just some terrifying stuff coming out of that room.
Yeah.
Just jarring, terrifying stuff.
That's mad that you can play that well to make it that terrifying that someone wants to ring the police over a piece of music. Obviously, as with she knew what else.
But it was enough, and it was vivid enough to trigger.
Well, extreme concern. So she told you. Did she tell you?
I remember her telling me just absolutely just losing, just freaking.
What did you do?
So I just remember losing my mind and coming down like in hysteria, frenzy.
Or angry?
Yeah, angry, but also kind of this like after lucid state, you're so prone to attack. You know, in the state, you're hyper vigilant. If you're in the state and you don't know someone was there, someone tapped you on the shoulder. If I was in the state,
and someone tapped you
on the shoulder or called your name.
Yeah.
Oh God, just thinking about it.
What would it be like? Terrifying.
So when someone makes you jump, that made me jump.
Yeah.
I can't. It's like that notion, but amplified. So
this was why you'd finish playing then in the evenings. Think everyone was out to kill you. You was almost in. That's part of the come down state. It's almost part of the come down. The paranoia.
Extreme.
And I suppose so. Yeah, that's what it would be labelled off as, wouldn't it? Schizophrenic paranoia.
Yeah, paranoid schizophrenic. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that was what. Yeah.
So you came downstairs.
Yeah, in hysteria, but like I said, this was at a time where if you touched me on the back, it's not even I'm not making this up. I'd literally. My legs would buckle instantly and I'd just fall on the floor.
Really?
People, even my brothers and my girlfriend used to do it. Like they used to find it funny, but it wasn't funny at all. It was absolutely terrifying.
Find it funny?
Yeah, just to make me jump.
What would they do?
It just made me jump.
Tap you on the shoulder.
Yeah, or just like wait somewhere and go boom. Because when they did it, it wasn't like you go, oh God.
Yeah, you'd be shit scared for your life.
I was shit scared for my life. I'd actually fall to the floor. I'd actually.
Really?
I probably happened for more than a year. Like literally being so scared by being made jump so easily, like so easily. I'd jump out my skin, like be so scared that my soul would just fucking like leave my body for a second and come back in, and I literally like my legs would buckle and I'd just fall to the floor. Literally that scared. But
she was really actually mad.
Living on it. This is.
You're just deep in the madness.
Yeah.
How did you benefit from this madness?
It was so artistic. It was so artistic.
The fruits were rich.
So rich and just experience was so rich. You know, the highest highs, the lowest lows. This is like what living was about. Was experiencing all of these. I mean, I don't regret any of them. I'm happy I had all of those experiences.
You come downstairs and are friendly. They arrive, I imagine.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Obviously, you know,
Still
policeman at the door
devil.
sees me in hypervigilant, fucking
Devil.
eye-popping devil mode.
Painted red in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously starts trying to tackle me to the ground. And I remember resisting. It's so good. Trying to resist.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yes. And then my family are watching at the door crying. Because they must have been fucking deeply disturbed.
Yeah.
There's this fucking...
Did you not really have any conversations with them about what was going on
Couldn't
in your head?
Or if I did,
Or just
I'd
be
see their
incompetent?
faces just start
They couldn't
dropping,
comprehend
and
it,
I'd have to
could they?
stop. No, everything I did say almost
So
felt
you
like
must
too
have
much.
felt completely alone.
So I said, at the lowest point of my life.
Completely alone.
Completely. Not a single person could even mention this stuff. The
How
biggest
did
secret.
that feel?
It was a burden so big that you just. It was suffocating at times.
Burden.
A huge burden, a huge secret.
But you still had that quote written down from the old Muslim guy. What was that? God said.
God does not burden any man beyond his scope.
You look back at that night.
Yes.
In that period.
Yeah,
I remember it.
it had profound significance. Yeah, like it was a messenger. Like
How
it was.
lonely did you feel?
You know, it was like a. That was what would lead on to the lowest pit of hell. Was trapped in that cell for long enough. I was in there for 36 hours because they were waiting for a mental hospital bed to free up. Because I was put in there, and I wasn't in there. I was so unstable that I couldn't be in there. And I remember the lowest. That was the first time I ever actually cut myself. I ever actually self-harmed ever. The first time, that was the only time I've ever done.
First and only time. In the cell.
Was when I had a taste of what it feels like to actually want to kill yourself, to be in that much pain,
Really?
actually being that much like an unbearable tension like of consciousness, bound so tight that like a knot pulled so tight that I wanted to die, I wanted to be dead. It was what when I was speaking to that Muslim guy, funny you should bring that up. The notions of Islam were basically he implanted these ideas that we were in heaven and we were in hell right now, and it was what
we were in heaven.
We are like this experience can be heaven and it can be hell. It's like what you make of it, and what you bring to it. And this experience in that cell, that time, was my first experience of what it could be like to be in hell. This was what hell was.
What did you feel like?
Hell was a state of mind. Hell wasn't a fiery depth, a chasm underneath the ground.
Okay.
Hell was
a
state of mind, a place.
So what was your state of mind? What did you feel like when you're sitting in that cell?
Jesus.
Did you force just go and run away? What did you? Did it feel like it was the end or what?
Oh God, it's almost hard to talk about, but yeah. Such discomfort and anxiety, just unfathomable discomfort, like hell, like I was living in hell, like this is what hell was. Crying and just crying so hard, like crying so deeply, like a weeping.
What about? Why?
I don't know why it was.
What did the arrest represent?
I think it was.
What did it? What did?
Do you know what I think it was?
Represent
it was. It was. It was. I think I suppose it was a. It was a yelping like cry of everything finally coming out. All that. I hadn't cried up to that point about any of this.
Really?
Not at all. No.
Did you understand what was
But
going
bitterness.
on? What was happening all through that interview? Did it not? Did you get scared for your own safe health? Were you scared? Did you feel out your depth?
So out my depth. Yeah.
How did you deal with it?
What in the cell?
Before the cell.
Before that.
Up to the cell.
Isolation. Through music.
Did you know
that was
what
it.
Was going on?
Music was the saving grace.
Did you
Art
really
was
have a
it.
clue what was going on?
It was all so new. It was all so new. It was bizarre. It was just all so. I was just out of my depth.
And then that cell just brought it all out of you.
I just remember the deepest, probably the same cry that you must cry when your mum finally dies or something like that.
Yeah.
That level of not like crying up here in your head, but like
From down there.
From the start. Like, that's just and just wanting to kill yourself. And it was over all of it. It was like this is what it was. It was the pinnacle of the outcast. Like I'd finally reached that point where I was finally spat out at the bottom of hell. You know.
Everything just hyper-accentuated.
Yeah. This
you
dream.
Just wanted to kill yourself.
This dream of the prodigal son wasn't just like crashing and burning, but it was something else. It was something else. It was like I said, it was. This was the finally it come to. I'd finally been rejected by everyone. This is what society felt about me. This was a true outcast. This was. I want to kill everyone. This is it. This is it. I'm done with it all. I want to kill myself. Fuck, it's hard to talk about this, but this is probably the lowest feeling I've ever had in my entire life.
Because you wanted to be the best.
And it was like out of love. It was all of this was out of love. I never meant any harm to anyone. It was like all of this was like out of love. That's all it actually was. That's why it was so upsetting.
It's just really interesting the meanings that you attach to things when you're in this state.
Because it was out of so much love.
Just so heavy.
So heavy.
With everything, it was just sounds like it was just so. Every little thing meant something so overwhelming. I just don't know how you dealt with it. That emotion. Everything was so heavy. Meant it was all like heaven or hell.
Quite literally.
36 hours. I don't suppose you went to sleep in there.
No, God no. I was just yelp, and it was the longest stretch of time of consecutive, endless yelping,
just
banging,
the whole time.
and just banging, and yelping, and just like
really,
like a man who a man possessed, a man who was the closest to the end, the closest.
Did they keep coming and checking on you or not really?
Yeah, occasionally I'd just be begging, constantly pressing this monitor, please let me speak to someone, please.
Really?
And it's hard not to say all this without kind of like it sounding over dramatized or like like I'm telling a story, but this is actually genuinely it.
I know it is. I wouldn't expect anything else. What do you think it'd be like if you...
Jesus, but that for me, that was the signifying of the ash. That was the phoenix. That was being burnt to ash.
To rise again later.
Yeah, this was truly being burnt down
so
to a crisp.
So bed.
To ash. Yeah.
Where?
Some mental hospital far away. I think it's back in London.
Mental?
Yeah, it's near London. Yeah, like a mental hospital.
She went there, and what was the process there?
I remember actually in the process of going from the transition from ambulance to the place.
So they took you from the cell to the place in an ambulance.
Yeah.
That must have felt
and
a bit degrading. trading.
Not just that. Oh, this is I've got some meat to go into here. Well, if I can do it poetically, it sounds even better. But upon going from the transition from ambulance to kind of cell, yeah, I was waiting. I was just waiting there as a man possessed. Just a man possessed, waiting.
Ambulance to the cell in the mental. Yeah.
It's just a man possessed, waiting, watching everyone's eyes, watching everyone's moves, inhaling it all, waiting for a moment, waiting for 1 second when they drop their guard.
Mm.
And it happened. Drop their guard for 1 second.
Mm.
I was off the chain. Ran, bolted as fast as I could.
What handcuff?
Into the night. This is in the night. This is in pitch black. Just into the night. Didn't even know where the fuck I was. I just running
Were they chasing you?
down the streets. No one chased me initially. No one actually chased me. I was with nurses.
Yeah.
They're not policemen. I was with nurses.
Just ran off.
I just run. Just kept running into the night.
Yeah.
My cape whistling behind me. The devil face.
What? In
He was-
handcuffs?
Yeah, he was
Did
out.
that feel
The
good?
devil was free.
Did it
This
feel
was
good?
liberating. And I knew I was reaching
Did
out.
you still have your face painted?
Yeah, that was the thing. Reached around in my back pockets. £3. I could scrape together £3. I could get the bus back.
To where?
Wherever. The devil was out, baby. You know, that was the thing.
Did it feel liberating?
Yeah, possessed by this notion of, okay, well, I run. Found this like children's like a kid's park, play park. I hopped over the fence of it. I just laid there. Just laid there
In the dead of night.
Yeah, just in silence. Just waiting for it all to pass. What if I wait here long enough? Wait till this is like probably like I don't know 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning. If I just wait here 5 hours till the first bus, I get the first bus. We're out of here. Bust these cuffs off at the nearest place. We get back to the workshop. There's work to do. This is what's going through my mind.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is what it was.
Yeah,
you know?
it was like a movie.
It become this movie story.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't take this seriously, and I couldn't take this in their world. It wasn't being processed as.
I can't believe you.
Imagine how different I was experiencing this to how everyone else was experiencing. This is how isolated and different it was.
Yeah.
This is the experience I was having.
Yeah.
I have to get back to the workshop. There's work to be done.
Yeah.
There's work to be done. This fucking devil possessed crazy loon, you know. I just reach around this back pocket. I just remember feeling the cold. I remember it so well. Laying face down, this cold, wet grass at this park. The wet grass on my face. Just waiting, just breathing deep. I couldn't hear voices. I couldn't hear anything. I thought I'm off the hook.
Yeah.
I didn't know how long. I had no idea how long I was there. No idea.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. It might have been 5 minutes. It could have been an hour. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
But that's what was running through my mind. I've got this little bit of cash. Now I find the bus stop.
Back to the workshop.
Yeah, I've got to get back to the workshop. Bust out of these cuffs. The devil's back, baby. He's got out. You know.
Yeah.
The road to salvation.
It was quite thrilling,
It's
wasn't
fucking
it?
thrilling as fuck.
So what happened next?
You know, I was on the run. The devil was on the fucking run. And then
It's interesting that you can't started referring to yourself as the devil at this
this is what
point.
it was.
Sitting in the cell, had you decided
Truly
that
out.
you,
This
after all your pain and the pain that you felt in that cell, it's like you decided to, that's it then.
this was like
Have you made a decision to be evil? Or
this has started something. This is
a rebellion?
yes,
The devil.
the
'Cause
renegade.
Now,
This
only
was
now,
it.
since after being locked up, you started calling yourself the devil.
This was like me officially done. I've been officially spat out by him. I've been officially rejected by this society at every fucking level. And it's like, now it's time to kill.
But you hadn't been rejected.
I probably hadn't, but this in my mind.
In
This
your
is what
mind,
it was.
this is what it was.
This is what it was. And I remember searching out for the bus stop. I left the refuge of the fucking park and padded down the street, you know, in the dead of night. In these cuffs, this fucking, you know, in my full black trench coat and all the lot, you know.
You wouldn't be hard to spot if they
Yeah.
put a description
Oh, God.
out of the walkie-talkie.
Fucking chunks. Padding around in these handcuffs. Padding around. Up bridges. over, scrambling over fucking fences and stuff, and just trying to find my way around. It's pitch black. Looking for the bus stop where I camp out and wait. Use my little £3 I had in like 20p's and 50p's in my back pocket. Get the bus back to salvation. Get back to work. And then behind me, slowly, the slow whirring of the engine creeped. The eyes burning in the back of my head. I turn around, and they're there.
Police van.
The cops. The police van, obviously the fucking description.
Did they run out and jump?
Yeah. They pulled up beside me, and then, fucking hell, the devil was really on the run.
What?
And then the devil was running through the streets of this fucking town, pelting it through the streets. I just remember the cape flying up, just sprinting through this thing.
Yeah.
Fucking 2 or 3, I don't know, it must have been 2 or 3 cops, just gunning me down. And I was convinced that the devil was going to make it. I don't know how I was going to make it, but I was going to make it. But there's like huge long strides, just like pacing it through this fucking town, and eventually just being gunned down, tackled to the floor, and just had my face pressed in. And this poor
Quite
fucking
violent,
this cop must have thought, what the fuck am I dealing with?
Yeah. To you, it felt so real.
And this,
but the thing is, the weird thing is, they just didn't understand. Therefore, it was probably just all the people. It was probably just out of genuine concern.
That's what it was. It was.
But
Yeah,
they didn't
it was.
know what was going on.
It was out of
in
care.
your head.
Like for my best interest. That was what it was.
But the flaw is that they.
One other little bit just to finish the story off.
Sorry, yeah, I shouldn't. But yeah.
No, because this is.
No, I want you to keep going.
But this was and then so it meant that a policeman had to. This was before we got. This was actually going from a police station to the ambulance that was going to take me to the mental hospital. After being cuffed and then put into the ambulance to actually go into this, to actually be taken to the mental hospital.
I thought you'd got there and run off when you got there.
This was the transition from police station.
Oh, you'd run off from the police.
Yes.
In the first place.
Yes, and
you managed to run off and no one chased you.
No one, for some reason, no one chased me. I don't know why. But
you should have laid in that park, man.
I should have just do you know what? I was thinking when my face was getting pressed into pain, I was thinking, fucking just laid there a bit longer. Should have been patient, you cunt. What was you gonna do?
Yeah.
But then the Elephant Man one was
put in a straight
jacket. Tied down to this hospital bed in a fucking straight jacket.
Did that feel degrading?
Cops either side of me.
How did you feel?
And it weren't degrading. It was the complete opposite.
Really?
It was so empowering.
Really?
It was like I completely lost myself in this. It was like finally a guy who was at the end and then it snapped, and it was like, I'll give you it. I'll give you the monster. You want to paint me as the monster? I'll give you the monster. This is it. You know, so I basically just fucking made these poor men's lives hell on the way there. I just remember just playing into it as much, just running away with this thing, being this, being this a character, yeah.
But a character you'd already been being.
It was letting go of everything.
But is this a character you'd already been being?
I felt like I was just.
Or did it take into a new?
Do you know what? I felt like I was fully embodying what they wanted me to be. It was like finally saying. It was just like it was just being covered up in a straitjacket, just with this fucking thing on.
What, amusing yourself?
What?
Just really amusing.
Truly amusing myself. Yeah.
What was you doing?
I just remember just endlessly taunting them in this sort of like bizarre kind of like way, just playing into it. I was like, it's almost like just like I said, I was giving them what they wanted. Just giving them the show. Yeah.
In a weird.
Just trying to being the cream. I was just giving it to them.
Really?
You know? And obviously they don't know what the fuck to say. They're just this straight-jacketed fucking lunatic, you know. And it's really empowering. I have to say, it really was.
So what happened when you actually got to the place?
So this is my favourite bit. I'll never ever forget. that felt so fucking.
Good.
Oh god, I fucking get off. This is the bit. What I'm describing to you is the bit I want to make this film about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
This is what this is about. This character that was made in this. That was ostracized in hell.
Yeah.
This was a character that was forged in
Trodden.
hell. Yeah, trodden, exiled in. This was forged in hell. I just remember.
I know what you're saying about Taxi Driver now.
Do you?
Yeah.
I
did anyway, but now even more.
Even more.
Really
this was
feels filmish.
Does it?
Now, yeah.
The cinematic. I've relayed the cinematic aspect. And this is the most cinematic. My favourite bit when this hit home the most, where I'd spent this 45-minute trip in the ambulance, sort of losing myself in this thing.
You don't have to whisper.
And then, when the ambulance doors opened, I was unstrapped out of the chair, and I was still in this straitjacket, and then I was cuffed again in the straitjacket. And there was nothing. Oh, this was the other bit as well. The ambulance had a police car convoy in front and behind.
Really?
I felt like
Special.
I felt like the villain. I felt like a comic book villain. Yeah, that's how I felt. And when I got out, the doors swung open. Yeah, all these police standing outside.
You got empowered.
They were holding onto my arms either side. Yeah.
How'd you walk?
On either side, yeah. And I'm walk down the steps of this ambulance, and I see these convoys. I'm in this straitjacket, and I've got fucking smothered makeup with tears, and I'm just the Elephant Man, and I just remember just a smirk, just this really empowering smirk of feeling like, yeah, you wanted it, it's here.
Yeah.
It's here, and I just felt like the villain. I felt like the true. The renegade, the real renegade. And then we go through this. They open this door to this. It's a lockdown mental institute. You know, it's got these like fucking locked doors. We go through these locked doors, and like these police and this sort of entourage of a mental health team, and like people in the white sort of. These lot are all there, and they're all taking me through, and I'm just this cuffed fucking like super villain being taken through with this massive smirk of like this. You know, I said like darkness is my domain. This feeling of invincibility.
That's where it was born from.
This invincibility feeling of actually feeling invincible.
Yeah.
Like really, and it was a safety net. It's almost like if I didn't have that feeling, then I would have been a mess. I would have killed myself. You know, this was like this. This was the safety net that
to embrace it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
to run with it, to go with it.
If you didn't go with it, what would have happened?
I don't know. Hell. I would have been in hell. This was like the
if you tried to fight it and doubted it, what would have happened?
I don't know. Not something good. Wouldn't have been empowering. And I was carried through this mental ward, and all the other patients just look at me. What is this? And I'm the scariest beast on the block.
Really?
I've just got this face full of devil. I'm the most terrifying
patients.
guy in it, and I'm just staring at him down as I'm going in. There was something really empowering about it.
You never forget it.
I'll never forget it. So clear, so vivid. Love that.
This will be more helpful for your book than it will.
Yeah, it will actually. I'm about to say I'm glad I got this, because this is how it felt. So empowering.
Put you in your padded cell.
And I remember this being. These were the. Oh God, it's so profound. It's so vivid. All of this is so vivid. And I wrote a small little bit of music when I was in there during that state.
What just wrote it?
Yeah, I wrote it down on paper. Yeah, wrote it down on paper, and I can play it now.
Just hummed it.
It was on a guitar.
You had a guitar in your cell.
Yeah, it was on a guitar. Yeah, I was allowed a guitar towards.
How did you manage it?
Because if I was probably in there for like 3 or 4 days, and over that period, my mum broke me in a guitar, and this sequence of chords that came to me during this time. Whenever I play them now, I'm transferred into that Like, this was like the peak of whatever it is, of the paranormal. This was the peak. This was the pinnacle.
When you was in there.
Yeah, this was in there, and this is where this a sequence of chords that whenever I play them now, I just
Instantly.
yeah, I'd lose overwhelmed with that emotion that I felt in there. Really profound.
Like an ecstasy pill would hit you.
It's like I'd bottled up. It's like this little sequence.
Was
of
it
chords.
not even a big sequence?
No, not really.
It's just.
I could play it to you and it'd mean nothing. It's just like, it's just a piece of, it's just some chords. But when I hear it, it captures the nostalgia is undescribable nostalgia of this feeling. But I don't know. I've turned this into something else than an interview. But that's the first time I've actually really explained that ever. How I wanted to explain it.
Really.
That's how it felt. I just took the virginity of that moment. You just took it. That was it.
Thank you. That was very fucking.
What's your thoughts on that? That was. I couldn't be done. I couldn't be done any other way. Right, go on. I'm going to pass you the microphone for a sec.
I haven't got a lot to say. I now want to know what was. So, I imagine that you have to have some kind of meetings with doctors when you was in there, or what happened? What was the next step? So you got taken to this asylum, went to sleep for the night, and then what happened the next day?
Now I plot the escape. We must get out. We must get out. We must get out. Try all the windows. Must get out. I start trying to map the movements of like the ward, the staff. Maybe even try to befriend staff. Maybe try and get on the friendly side. Find a way out. There must be a way out. I just remember just pacing around this really small little room that was my place. Just try the window again, even though I tried it a million times. So I just keep thinking out and then look through the pane, just walk, just look, just press my face on the glass and look out and just know that there must be a way out. I want to get out of here. Maybe I befriend someone. Maybe I keep talking. What do I do? Do I kill one? What do I do? There's a way out of it. Must get back. Must get back to the workshop. This work's too important. We have to get back.
And start playing more music.
Yes. Mystery of the mystery that the musical portal of mystery was just been opened up.
Did the music create the madness or soothe the madness? Was it a cycle?
The music expressed the madness. Music expressed the madness.
Didn't heighten it. Didn't change it.
Yeah, all of them things actually.
Okay.
All of them things.
To the workshop.
Must get back. If anyone asks me questions, sane. Have to act sane. To be the different guy. Must learn quick how to be normal. Must learn how to show the normal face.
So
I've got to get out of here.
this is the next day. Because after being empowered and actually giving it to them, you changed your mind and decided that you actually have to now act a bit more normal.
The only way I'm going to get out of here is by
acting a bit more normal.
Yeah. Is by speaking with the people and saying,
And did you feel able to act normal?
To some extent, yeah.
To tone it down?
Yeah. This was important. This was a mission. I had to sort of almost put sort of artistic nuance in my behaviours and eccentricities sideline for now.
Yeah.
I've got to get out.
Yeah.
I have to get out. Every time we speak with a psychologist, the legs would be crossed. Just a normal. This is all a big mistake.
Okay, right.
So
did they pull you out of the cell to have a work?
Yeah, that's part of it. You're under observation. Okay. Under Section 2, you're under observation.
So they come in and talk to you. What was the first meeting like?
Come in and talk.
What was the first meeting?
I can't remember. But all I remember is just...
You can't remember what they was asking you?
Just the usual set of questions. How are you feeling? Any thoughts about harming others, harming yourself? How you
Did
feeling?
they not actually ask about your journey as to how you
Fuck
got to
no.
this stage?
We spoke about this before. It's another cold, distant set of predictable questions where you met with and
Okay.
until you basically just left alone
So
again.
like this.
Yeah. No, not fucking
They're
chance.
not actually trying to ask you
No.
about your personal.
Or diffuse it or anything. No, not in the slightest.
Okay. So you gotta get out.
Gotta get out.
Your mum came to visit you.
Yeah, my mum came to visit. That's when
Yeah.
she dropped off a guitar and some food and stuff.
What was she like? Distraught.
Yeah, mum's really upset. And my
Oh,
family are all
yeah.
devastated. And I'm sitting at home, and obviously there's this underlying feeling, despite these sort of all the other feelings of like, fucking hell, like just being so upset that my family like thought I was crazy. That hurts so much. Probably like the most.
Now.
Yeah, that was probably like the most painful. I don't feel like that now. I don't feel like they
No.
think I'm crazy now. But at that time, I didn't mind everyone else thinking I was a fucking loon bin. Fuck them. But the fact that my family actually, they were actually not just like, they were actually like, they were actually pitying me. You know, like he was actually, they felt sorry for me that I was so mad. You know,
didn't feel sorry for yourself.
and they felt embarrassed by me. You know, I'd be like an embarrassment. That hurts. Just to go from, you know, the top dog, the big bro, you know, with the big dream to leave, and now it's ended up here. You know, this is the manifestation of bitter
Did
evil.
Joe even block you on Facebook or something?
That's something like that.
Yeah.
But I remember being met. Joe was probably because Joe's the most stiff in that sense. He was the last. He
The
don't know.
last person to win back over.
Yeah.
The one that went hardest on you at the time. Was it?
The one most scared of public.
Yeah.
You know, public identification with me.
That,
Like my family were almost like, I don't know, they almost like wouldn't want to be seen.
did you feel like, oh, what have I done? Or, oh, I wish they got it.
Wish they got it. Wish they got it.
Wish they got it.
Yeah, which then turned into, they'll never get it.
Yeah.
I'm out. Fuck them.
So what happened in this one? What the section? You're only in there 3 or 4 days. Then what?
I managed to convince the guy. If you basically, the whole point is to convince the lead clinician
That you're alright.
that you're alright.
How did you do that?
Well, over the observation of the days, you just go, does that normal?
Just drop the act for a minute.
Just drop it. Just drop it. Just try to blend in as much as you
How
can.
easy was that?
Does that normal? You know,
How easy was that?
you're an actor. Just
Was that hard?
basically stifle any kind of artistic sort of impulse. just
How easy or hard was that to do?
just act as drony as you can.
But I suppose that became art in itself. Just acting.
It's kind of an art in itself.
Quite a
Yeah.
little fun little
Yeah.
side mission.
It was almost-
complete.
It was my little way of
Luring.
toying with these
Okay.
people. Let's
So you convinced them it was fine,
Mm.
and they let you go
Mhm.
without any pills or anything.
Yeah.
Then you're back home at your mum's.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the aftermath of that experience? Did
Over
that
becoming.
change your behaviour again?
This is actually funny you bring this up. This is actually the bit of the book that I haven't.
Got to.
No, yeah, I haven't got to. These
It's
are
gonna be
actually the
more helpful
unopened
for you
chapters.
than me, yeah.
But I mean, there might be something in this. But I mean,
Oh, there will be bits, but
But,
I'm not gonna have time to tell you.
this is what led to me obviously being kicked out of the house, kicked out of mine, and
You're
then
about to kill them.
moving to College Road first. This is where this is a hostel, a youth hostel in Sandy. You know, getting kicked out and then living there.
I think I bumped into you around that time afterwards.
So that's-
Co-op and you were there, so.
Just living in the same set of rags for years. This is when I just the whole thing just slipped through my fingers. The
What do
whole
you mean?
thing was just gone. This was just a dying dream. This was just
The whole thing of your
the whole thing was just dying. The fairy tale landscape was
what,
just
being a major
just dissipating.
guitarist.
It didn't not being a
What was
guitarist
your
or anything.
dream?
Just the fairy tale mission, the the magic.
What's the mission?
The magic was gone. The magic was gone.
Like the first day you weren't getting
No,
into
everything
the
was
first
gone.
day.
Everything
You
was
weren't
just gone.
practicing or doing
Everything was
much.
gone. And then what happened was that when I got evicted and then to College Road, I couldn't play my music.
Oh yeah. Why? Oh, because they kicked you out for playing your music too much.
Mm-hmm. Because the walls were so packed in. It's like sharing a room. You can't share a room with someone playing music.
So you were playing your music.
I couldn't play it, so I hardly played it. So like, what this led on to was
Just avoid
extreme, a vacuum of such an intense vacuum that sucked into needing acceptance. This need for acceptance, this need to be loved, this need to be respect. Without a lust for respect, this vacuum of respect in my life drove me to intense bodybuilding.
That's where I started.
This is where people respected you. You could walk into a room and people respected you.
Mm.
You know, you didn't need to say anything.
So that was what the music was about?
No, at this time I couldn't play much music at all. In that sort of 6-7 months when I was living there.
Desire for respect.
Desire for respect.
That wasn't a new thing. Or was that the respect to fill the void of not being able to play music?
I think it's just not being respected by
Your family.
my family and generally society.
Just everyone, yeah.
I felt just such a lack of respect for everyone. And you couldn't tell anyone. The thing I suppose that used to upset was the fact that if you went to, like, say you was in the pub and you said, "Yeah, I'm a musician," or like you make music. No one, I don't know. It didn't speak for itself. I think what drew me to bodybuilding was what you put in. People could see it, and it was in a language digestible to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they could understand it. They could respect you immediately from face value.
Yeah.
They didn't have to decipher all your music or something like that to think you're great or something like that to respect you. It became a poisonous obsession. Mad. Do you want to suck on this pipe?
Yeah, go on.
Where has it gone?
We've got quite a way through the journey. The big question ringing in my head now.
Sorry, mate. You got to meander me because I'm just chatting.
No, it's been good. It's been chronological, actually. It's a big question.
What's the big question?
It's how you've got from that low state to now for the past year, even 18 months since I've been seeing you again regularly.
This is, ironically, this is where you come in.
Since I've been seeing you again regularly, it's like the state you're in now, if we take away the fact that you're slowly feeling this pull towards the dark side,
Mm-hmm.
before that, the state you've been in for the past year, 18 months, compared to the state that you came from here, you've been kicked out of, been locked up, the whole thing you described, such a polar jump. Because you've been in like a really creative, loving, energetic, joyful state. I never see you not on top of the world. Like, not on top, but since I've known you again, it's been the complete opposite from what you described. Positive
and empowering,
happy, joyful, loving, endless, abundant energy that is permeated through whatever room you're in, and other people feel it when they're in your presence, you know? How the fuck have you fucking got from there? How did the phoenix rise again, I suppose? That's the next step of the story, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to read you a small paragraph from. This is a point in my book after I've all these revelations have happened, and this is what I describe as the pinnacle revelation out of all of the scientific stuff and the musical stuff. This is what it resulted in was to harness the depths of its form would herald a wizard of this world. Proper application of its conceptual blueprints could be used to prophesize and make malleable all aspects of life. To wholly internalise and live by its laws, embrace the most important realisation of all. The memorable song of a rich life needeth not a conductor of direction, but to act in the immediate moment with the dancing spontaneity of a melodic line. To sow a series of truly seized moments, woven with love and worn as a gown of art. A lifetime could be a moving score of beautiful symphony. The orchestra of existence was not a competition, but a composition to be decorated. Life's tender consonance was given sweetness only by its resolution from unsettling dissonance. The treasure chest of the arts harbored an untold wealth of shimmering ontological secrets, whereby the ideals and trinkets of culture bore no value. Little passage that basically encompassed all my findings, which was that these profound similarities between the architecture of music, how the syntactical structures of music, and the way the world worked. It was the exact same language, and it was almost like music was a metaphorical syntax for the composition of the world, of existence. The syntactical language of music was Gaia's personality.
Who's Gaia?
Gaia would be the overarching hive mind of this planet, which humans are the pinnacle of her art. Everything on this planet is her art, down from the ant up to us, and all in increasing potentials of emergence and of consciousness. We are the pinnacle. We've actually become an art so dense and beautiful that we can create art ourselves. We've actually. Do you know what I mean?
So what you just described there is what you kept calling it in that passage.
It.
Tihan's
It's. It's like It's like Gaia's personality. The language of music is how Gaia talks, but in some musical syntactical metaphor.
So Gaia, you used the word malleable.
This reveals the secrets of how Gaia created us, created everything. The mechanics of sociology, the intricacies of biology, everything is Gaia's language. How she speaks all of this into existence, and by understanding and being able to create music from a technical standpoint, it puts you in Gaia's shoes. It gives you Gaia's palette. It gives you Gaia's brush to paint as she would.
So you imagine the same way a musician composes music is how Gaia, inverted quote marks,
yes,
because Gaia is probably not a term that people are generally familiar with. But the same way a musician composes music, being the musician and being on that side of it, the creator, you are the creator. How has that meant that you felt as if this must be how Gaia created the rest of the world? What are the things that you feel when you're writing and composing music that lead you to believe that this feels as if this would have been the way to create nature and all that we experience? Because that is a strong feeling to be able to have. How does the science and art of music give you that feeling?
Yeah, it's.
Do you know what I'm trying to ask you?
And it is to make your point more clear. It's actually, I'd say, the language of art, the aestheticism of art, being the language of Gaia, but music being the most representative of the arts.
So how does
the
it
truest.
represent it?
There's an emotional content to music that is unspeakable. That's kind of undescribable. It's there to transcend words. And to understand the intricacies of musical composition, especially from a classical standpoint as well, classical harmony and counterpoint what seemed to live and breathe in there was the language of Gaian consciousness. It seemed to live in there.
The memorable song of a rich life needeth not a conductor of direction, but to act in the immediate moment with the dancing spontaneity of a melodic line.
Yes.
Needeth not a conductor of direction.
Yes.
Do you feel like the majority of the world is walking and living in a certain direction?
Yes, I suppose that metaphor is that
to act in the immediate moment.
Yeah,
Are we not all doing that then?
To act in the immediate moment with the spontaneity of a melodic line. A melodic line bounces, it jumps, it acts as it is, it dances for itself. The dancer becomes the dance.
Spontaneity.
And what lies there's a beauty in art that there's an aestheticism to it which is like a caricature of the Gaian taste. The Gaian aestheticism is expressed really clearly through music, and I think that's why we all feel it is such a universal language. I mean,
so what would be the soundtrack of society? Western society.
What would be the soundtrack to society?
Western society. How much spontaneity does that melody have?
Oh, that's a nice question. I don't believe it does. I don't believe it carries any spontaneity. In fact, it almost feels like as unoriginal as a cover band. Where it's simply this regurgitation of ideas of past ideas just being endlessly repeated. And archaic ballad, I'm trying to re-enchant the stale ideology of modernity.
Which is what ideology? How do you sum up modernity's ideology? How's that manifested?
How's that manifested?
Yeah, in our everyday lives.
It's
so that's back to the idea of spontaneity and unspontaneity.
It's this reductionist view, this overly scientific, mechanistic approach where everything.
Big term.
What?
Big term.
It's where the beauty of life, the beauty of the Gaian work. I spoke about this before. When genius is reduced down to a series of mechanical processes or algorithms by breaking something down wholly, by chopping the tree down to find out how old the tree is. We have to kill it, to find out the inner workings of something beautiful. We've got to kill it, and by the scientific height, the super rationalized sort of mind has cut down all the Gaian aestheticism and replaced it with this series of algorithmic processes that have disenchanted the beauty.
Give some examples of them algorithmic processes. We'll do back and forth. 9 to 5. That's one algorithmic process. The working day.
I suppose I'm more getting at the beauty, like the nature of the fundamentals of nature, in the sense of, in the archaic world, the sun came up because God was making it come up, or the tide came in because this is what God wanted. There was a magic about everything. Things happened because the magic made it happen. And the trees grew because something was alive, something was magic. This was a magic manifesting itself. And the scientific overview is to reduce all this down to processes, to a series of processes.
Okay.
This isn't magic. This is
science. And
it's basically like saying, it's like saying, this isn't a revelation. It's coincidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This isn't profound synchronicity.
Yeah.
This is coincidence, which ties us into the schizophrenic mind, which is when that rationalist mind starts getting turned on its head, and the schizophrenic starts going, wow, this starts meaning. Life starts taking on that magic enchanted meaning when coincidences are translated into profound personal Gaian messages unto you, where everything's re-enchanted completely, and nothing is happening by coincidence. It happens because it was meant to happen. This is happening because this is meant to happen to me right now. This is the universe communicating with me, rather than this is just a series of processes happening. You know?
Yeah.
And that's I think the schizophrenic, the mad mind, but in particular the schizophrenic, embodies that the most. The schizophrenic embodies that archaic value system of extreme synchronicity. Synchronicities being the language of Gaia unto you.
Can we rewind?
Go on.
So when you started feeling the switch in your perspective, when did you? Can you remember what it was like when you first
It was good
started having droplets of this magic drip on you?
Funny you should say that. Right now, go on.
I'm just, in my mind, an audience are listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're not,
Mm-hmm.
but you're describing your understanding of this complex way into your journey where it's so intellectually evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And you've sat and picked and decrypted it in your mind, done research and listened, and you're very rich
Got it.
in your description.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like when you first started cottoning onto this different perspective? What synchronicities did you realise? How did it fit? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What synchronicities? If we could strip it back, rewind it.
Yeah, do you know what? It's probably divine timing that you've asked me this now, because, funnily enough, I'm going through that same level of initial crisis again. That the cyclic repeat is happening again right now, to that same extent as it did in the initial stages.
To the next level.
Yeah, but the same levels of synchronicity are coming back right now. For example, if that's what you're after, examples.
Not just, yeah.
I suppose it's a case of, if you try to rationalize it, it's like everything is about you, in the sense that like everything you see has a profound meaning to you, that it's actually everything is trying to communicate with you on a deep subconscious level.
Did this feeling creep in for you slowly, or was it quite an instant impact?
I think it's a byproduct of kind of psychotic delirium.
How did you end up in this state?
I think, you know, it's a case of truly going with it, going with the madness, and surfing the madness rather than trying to swim against its tide. Because if you try to swim against its tide, it will wash you away.
You started
you
having
will drown.
These thoughts and feelings that everything was about. Almost, was it like a state of mania? Almost.
Yes, this and it's coupled with mania. I think mania has a great deal to do with it.
Describe how it was
like
for you in the beginning.
What
was you feeling and thinking on a daily basis when you're walking down the street and you're going in and out of your flat and you're going to the shop? What was going on in your head?
This is the divine time. This is the time of the prophet. The prophet is rising.
So this was born out of your love for music and your obsession with playing music. Was this intertwined in that? Almost.
Music.
Because when you say this is the divine time, the prophet's rising, it feels like, well, a prophet has a task, and it's divine. What was divine for what? What was you?
What was divine like? For what?
You're walking down the street feeling like it's a divine time, but for what? What did that actually mean for you?
A divine time, whirling, just an endless, constant screening of synchronicities everywhere you go.
Give me some. What are the ones you noticed?
Signs on the buses, words, language and syntax would always be profound, but also like for example, like if a bus went past it down the London street and the advert on it was for some product saying "Go for it," You
Yeah.
can do it. That site was about me.
So what was you going for at that time?
What was I going for? It
At
must
that
have been
time, what was you going for?
the quest. The quest had begun. The quest of Fantasia, of the fairies.
When you talk of this Fantasia and this quest, I can't help it. Was that introduced by music? Not all to do with it, but was it a byproduct of getting lost in playing? I don't know, because when you said, what was the quest about?
Music seemed like the gateway into the world of the profound. It was almost like this world
lifted the societal barrier. It
Yes.
stripped away.
It was a portal. It was this portal for my consciousness to empty itself
Escape.
and dissipate into this realm of mystery of profound significance. Sometimes you couldn't even tell why it was so significant or what the significance was, but it was so significant and it had to be. This is the guy in mind reaching out. The prerequisite for this sort of these insights are our drive, our focus. But I mean, this kind of drive and focus, is the instigator for neurochemical euphoria. And I think that neurochemical euphoria is one of the prerequisites for these, insightful experiences. It's funny that you experienced that, during a state of mania. This hypermanic state in conjunction with the wandering mind and the chanting music, poetic nuance, artistic aestheticism with the euphoric wandering mind was almost like the recipe for these revelationary. You feel like you almost became a character in a kind of a novel version of reality. It's like this novelization of a static reality. This static sort of mechanistic reality becomes novelized, becomes this moment of sort of like cinematic, like transcendent kind of moment of profound significance. Undeniable. I love that word. I keep using that word. An undeniable significance. That this means something. There's something here. There's a story here. There's a story here somewhere, and I want to find it. Stepping foot in an enchanted world.
Really in touch with the magic for a small period of time. But
the
now I know it's there, but this is the question for me. And I guess this is another reason why I'm trying to find out. I'm asking you these questions and want to write about this, is because I guess another thing for me is I felt it for a short period of time, and I can't figure out why I can't figure out why I'm not in connection with it anymore. But I know it's there and I believe it, and I feel as if I understand and can comprehend it. But it's like a puzzle to me, where it almost not hurts, but
it's met with almost a painful nostalgia. Looking back,
like why can I not reach that at my own will?
Where's it gone?
Yeah,
Where's it gone?
Why did it just come for such a short period of time and then leave, but still there in my face? Well, not in my face, but why did it only let me feel it for just a short period of time? I suppose that's part of this curiosity.
This is really good job of recording it.
Yeah.
This is like the prelude to this whole project. Is this what you've just been saying?
I've been listening to people speak and grasping it for years.
Now we're getting to the bottom of why you're in this.
Yeah, and then felt it probably for 2 months maybe. But that day, majorly, was the pinnacle. The
catalyst,
of mania.
Oh really?
That was the pinnacle of mania.
Did you write loads that day? Or the days following?
Not necessarily, but the weeks following, yeah. And then I think that was almost the climax that I'd been building up. And then after there, it stayed there for a bit, but slowly dribbled out. But it was the climax that I'd reached through. I'd induced it through. It was the bigger picture. Now I think back, that had like generated this ball of energy.
It was almost like a ball
And
of.
I kept going on bike rides constantly.
Ooh,
It was
the wandering
the
mind.
bigger picture and also the bike rides.
The bike
Up
ride had
the
something to do
hills.
with it.
I
Yes,
kept going
of
on
course.
bike rides
Of course.
and detaching from
The wandering mind.
suburbia.
Yes.
And I really remember I really cherished them bike rides that
They're
summer.
really important
Yeah, they felt really important that summer.
because they induced a state of mind that was
It was just part of it. It was
Yeah.
doing the bigger picture.
it's part of the recipe.
And trying to do the professional bigger picture thing. And it was the bike ride. Them two things. Thinking back now, I'm only just finding this out myself by talking about it.
Mm.
But them two things were the catalysts in generating this ball of energy that sort of reached its peak that day on the 18th of June.
Mm-hmm. You still remember.
And then sort of dribbled out afterwards.
Your art produce is the timeline
Because-
of yourself. Ron,
I'd written it all down.
the art, your art speaks the things you don't.
How
Your
weird
conscious
is
mind
it
don't
that I
even
went
know.
dark so quickly afterwards.
You know what?
And it didn't
I think this
sustain.
is why.
That's what it is, and now I feel stuck in limbo between the two. I experienced them both so quickly, so close to each other,
Mhm.
and now I'm sort of in a limbo.
Mm.
Curiosity until why has that not stayed?
It's this encompassing theme of having this really profound fucking experience, being sucked out of it, and then trying to find, pulling the thread all the way back. It's like following the thread all the way back to where the fuck you came from, following the crumbs back from where you just, following your footsteps back, the
So
footprints
you
in the sand, trying to find out what the fuck just happened to me. I want that back. There's this yearning, this nostalgia of what the fuck was that about? Why have I not got it now? Why don't I feel it now? I
And
want it
instead
back.
of tracing my steps, I just went stagnant.
We trace your steps. What was the recipe? No, we're actually getting close now. What this recipe was.
And do you know
What was it all
funny?
about?
No, and then I
The
think
ingredients.
engaging builds up this ball of energy
Mhm.
that almost permits you to get in touch and gives you these sort of surreal experiences. It's when you've engaged long enough in your creative pursuit that your ball of energy gathers more power. And where you've applied to you, where you've been constantly engaged for so long, it's like you've earned the permission.
That's what it is.
You've earned the permission to have access to this surreal, sort of hyper-lucid, magical state of
Consciousness.
consciousness.
Yes.
It's like you've committed yourself for so long that your ball of energy is built up so much that you've now got a big enough ball of energy for it to come and find you and give you access.
Right.
And I only ever build my energy balls up. I don't know, I never sustain my balls of energy. And that's something that I guess I guess this is all trying to figure out how I can get in control of it. So I know it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's something in it.
How?
Something in the madness. And I guess I did feel a bit mad at that
Do you know
time.
what? This might be a theme. Because we're recording this. This might be the overall arching theme of this. Your own investigation into how can I track down the elusive wonders of this conscious mind that
I know they exist.
Yeah.
Blue light?
Yeah. How can I track down this elusive state I felt before? I know it's almost like you could even start. I'm not telling you what to do, but I mean, you could start the intro of this like as look, describing this experience and saying, look, I want this back. I know it's almost like I know it's real. I put my flag on the fucking thing.
But this is a thing. Yeah.
It's real. I know it's real. I want to get back to it. Let's get in touch with people who are in touch with it, who know. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the science. Let's talk about the recipes.
Yeah. The person that could give you insights into this is what would be the explanation for someone teetering on the periphery but never really being able to cross the line, not stopping them. Me. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about. For those unaware and out of touch, of course they can't cross over. What is it that stops the man
Who's actually searching?
and is teetering on the periphery of it? what is the fucking key to stepping over the edge? Psychedelics. Like, so, and you, when I speak to you, it's like, because I know it's there. This is why I don't. You can feel like you tell me anything. So I'm genuinely interested because I know it's there, and it's like I know with YouTube voice and it's like I've sort of come to accept that at the minute I can only get it second hand. If you know what I mean. Because for some reason I need to uncover and slowly break through.
I think this might be
I can't
it.
get it myself. It's like that's why you can tell me anything, and I'll genuinely ask back what I want to know more. That's probably why you feel like you can open up to me. That's why I've been so interested, is because I see it as an opportunity to get something that I can't get by myself, but I can get it second hand.
Because you're looking for
and
answers.
It can open my mind up, listening to someone else's experience.
You're looking for answers.
Yeah, and I can't.
Looking for the map.
So tell me your experience. So I can only get it second hand right now. Does that make sense?
This is vital research for your own psyche. It's like you're painting the map. You're painting the map of, and then trying to find X. You know. This. You always spoke about curiosity as the fuel for any endeavour.
Yeah.
This is curiosity.
Yeah.
This is trademark curiosity. This is fuel. You've got fuel now.
Yeah.
You know?
It's almost like there's a chain reaction in the process.
Go on.
Of the hysteria.
That's what. Yeah. Go on.
What is the chain reaction?
What's the chain reaction?
In the hysteria, it's like there's steps that. It's like a pursuit of art.
Yes.
And
a curiosity.
Hyper energy of hyper motivated state to fulfill this task or this project or this art, you know. It starts off as that, and then that almost triggers a sort of madness where you're able to completely switch perspectives on the world. It breeds this sort of madness, doesn't it?
Do you know what?
And puts you in these trance-like states. Why?
Do you know what? I think it's something to do with the act of conjuring, and then I think it's the act of watching you manifest something, actually manifesting, watching the manifestation process almost unfold before your eyes, like knowing that it's you doing it, almost like sparks this kind of like frenzy.
But it's a frenzy.
It's this frenzy of revelation that shit, I really can make what I want. It's almost like then it becomes almost
makes you believe all sorts of other things. It's like you're open to believe anything.
Anything's literally possible. Like you could do anything. The universe become malleable to you.
And that's why you have such weird, mad traits and thoughts. Is because the boundaries are dissolving because you've seen yourself do these things and create these things. It just dissolves all sorts of boundaries, not just personal boundaries, but boundaries in the world that you see around you as well.
It like affirms the idea of destiny, and destiny is not a series of coincidental processes. The nature of destiny is mystic, you know, is story-like, is a novel. Destiny is a novelization, a novelized version of a life path, of reality. Once we start getting in touch with that and sort of accomplishing even small little fragments of destiny, we start getting the seed of that is planted, you know. We're getting somewhere
gets
here.
Back to the symbiote relationship of madness and genius.
It does.
This really is. So does that go any way to explain the stigma attached to madness? Is it because of its close relationship to genius? Because what I'm really getting at is I want to start asking you about what happened when you was picked up by authorities. I want to now try and dig into the view of it all and why this prescribed way of dealing with madness, the stigma, the drugs, the mental health assessment, the whole, you've come into contact relationship with a man's creative endeavours and genius, almost sparking his madness, which then sparks more genius, which then sparks more madness, is that they're scared of the genius more than they are the madness? Is it because society, whoever set it up, it's like there was a group of people that figured out that the madman could go on to do great things, and we couldn't have too many great people. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
This brings us, Ron. This brings
I'm
us.
over decorating this.
No, Ron.
Now,
Ron.
but
This,
really,
Ron. This is the biblical metaphor of the apple of Eden. This was the apple we were warned not to eat. This is the apple that we were warned not to take a bite of.
What, the mad apple?
The apple, you know. The scripture is something like, if you eat the apple, they'll become as we are. The idea that to eat the apple, you gain like the
Too
insight
much.
of the too much than what the omniscient the omnipotent ruler would like.
What, they become like us?
Yeah.
And we can't have that.
Yeah. That's what the scripture goes, something along those lines of. That's the biblical scripture. And it just has that feeling of, it's like it's too much. It's a very powerful state of mind. It's a really powerful notion. If everyone had that power, who the fuck's gonna fucking clean the toilets at the gym?
Does every madman have
I don't know.
genius?
Does every madman have
Well, do you know? I want to talk about,
Does every madman have genius? Well, the thing is, that's the thing.
What about like diagnosed schizophrenic or whatever?
Do you know what? There's.
Are they all genius, or is some of them just actually lost the plot? Do you know what I mean?
I think the unguided schizophrenic. The unguided schizophrenic chucked in this, into this society. I'd be concerned for that person.
So how come you've been?
I'd worry for that person. I think. I think the art is the saviour. I don't know what a schizophrenic would do without art or poetic aestheticism.
And schizophrenics that don't have an art, or don't use an art. Everything they do, not just schizophrenic, but anyone. You think without art you'd have just definitely gone the other way and probably been fucked, or without enlightenment. Art balances it out.
It's like art is the star for the schizophrenic to follow. Art is. It's like the medium not the medium of the schizophrenic. Oh, what's the question again?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
What's the question? It's a really good question. I'm trying to say. What's the schizophrenic without art?
Yeah, like, what about the madman who doesn't have a genius to deploy? You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of society's view of madness. It's not like we can. Why are you dragging all these people and putting them in prison when their genius is with art to create? Because a lot of them might just be actually a danger to society. I don't know.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, Ron, you are right.
Not everyone's a one of you.
Yes, you're right. Completely. Yeah. That's a really good point. That's another really good point to bring up, to mention. You know?
Yeah.
As much as the argument we're making is the perfectly
counter argument.
Yeah, the perfect counter
And it is
argument.
worth because I think there's definitely substance to the idea that madness is symbiotic with genius
Mm-hmm.
if channeled properly.
Yes.
But it doesn't, unfortunately, cover everyone.
No.
Some people are genuine because other than go down this route, the next step would be to say, well, why is the sort of psychiatric field so suppressive and sort of anti-madman? Do you know what I mean? Why is it geared against them if they're all geniuses? But I'm digging down a hard hole to do. Because I want to eventually, I've been trying for the last 10 minutes to get onto your own experiences with
It's all right. No, it's all right.
but I want to dig around it first.
I'm finding this really interesting as well. I think there is. I think there.
It's hard.
An uninformed schizophrenic with no mentor going through that, and in the clutches of
Okay.
in the clutch. What am I trying to say? Yeah. Without mentoring
And guidance.
Like
in a shamanistic society.
Exactly.
You'd
You'd be drawn out from the pack and immediately,
So perhaps the problem is Westerns, we just don't understand it. We've not come to understand it, and we're treating it wrong. And there's no people capable of mentoring these people because no one understands it anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
So there's no one actually readily available and capable in our society to take on. Imagine a system rather than going in and getting sectioned and locked in a padded cell, then drugged and then sent out and having to attend meetings to make sure you're not going to kill anyone. Imagine if society did understand it and we had a system that got you in and had a one-on-one with doctors who could assign you to the right people that could help you through it rather than drug you and just kill you off. Well, imagine a society where we came to understand it and then there was a system where you could go and actually get helped through it rather than...
You know what? There's two things here, Ron.
Locked up and fucking demonised.
Two things here that I need to say. One of them is about profit-wise. The second thing is about if you're going through this existential crisis, the initiatory, it's called the initiatory crisis. If you're going through this crisis and your mentor, your guide, is someone who thinks you're crazy, who's calling you crazy, then I think you do become a madman. I think you do could become crazy. If your mentor is telling you
doubt yourself.
Yeah, you start. You're being sold. It's been sold to you that this belief system is crazy. It's not real.
You do actually end up going mad.
And I think that's what turns you mad.
You end up disbelieving the magic.
Yes.
Because someone's telling you you're wrong.
If
you've got something wrong with you.
Your supposed mentor,
not right with you.
The mentor guiding you through this is actually telling you that you're mad.
That goes into like science of the brain again, neuropathways, doesn't it? Almost.
The second point was that to cure, there's no profit in curing. You can get someone schizophrenic with the rest of their life, if they go by the system's books, they can be on drugs for the rest of their life. But they will become addicted. Their brain will be suppressing and dependent on drugs. And mental health has become a fucking...
dictates. You're right.
Mental health has become a profit organisation, right? A profit-bound system in which you can get nations of people convinced that they're almost mentally ill and living on medication instead of curing the problem, which is the most unethical, immoral part of this.
Selling them drugs.
That they're being sold to them that they've got problems, that they're crazy. That these aren't things that need to be worked out. these are things that need to be
Buried.
buried and smothered. You know where I'm going with this, don't you? And we all know someone that's you know, affected by
Probably
it.
on pills, yeah.
And will be on them for the rest of their life. You know, that's a
You
money. That's a
think
big business.
One big facade.
That is a massive business. I don't think it's maybe not one big facade, but I think that's got a huge anchor in its purpose.
Yeah.
Huge. This is a multi-zillions. This is big pharma. This is a global industry, and the Westerners lap it up. We love it. Fuck it. Put it on the bill. Put it on the fucking bill.
So then it goes deeper, because like in a shamanistic society or tribal culture, these people would be helped and lauded.
Yes.
And adored.
These
So whereas we, Jackman Joes, because of Big Pharma, it actually speaks of higher cultural values. We live in a materialistic capitalist world that arguably values profit over human empathy.
Yes.
Whereas they're much more rooted in their roots.
What's got the archaic value system? It's the archaic values are lost, but it's almost like.
So then that dictates how we deal with mental health.
Yes.
They'd be told there's something right with them.
Yes, and
special.
They are told they will lead us. They will prophesy.
They are chasing knowledge, wisdom, intellect, love, care, empathy, and then Western society, rat race, bang. The rat race is priority.
You can't make money out of a crazy man.
But it's down to the roots. They've even sold us the rat race. We don't care for each other either. Just like they don't care for the man that they stick on the pills. Oh man, it's getting deep.
But it's true. This is how far the rabbit hole goes. This is a fucking big ass rabbit hole. This is the war on consciousness.
Yeah.
Well, I think Graham Hancock calls it that. This is the war on consciousness. This is at the root of it. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. War on consciousness. Feeding of our innocence. It's the robbing the human of his innocence. It's where the energy of a child, the playful, limitless Gaian energy that flows through a child is the innocence of a child.
So there's a much bigger agenda.
As our innocence is lost, as it's drummed out of us, as it's stolen from us by the culture, by the society. Losing our innocence, we lose our power. We're
so
fed
is the
off.
doctor diagnosing and prescribing just another misguided foot soldier?
Ha! Yes.
A miseducated foot soldier who probably does believe he's doing the right thing.
Yes.
But doesn't have a clue.
Yes. I think human beings instinctively want to do the right thing.
He thinks he knows. He thinks he's like.
Thinks he's doing the right thing.
He thinks he's got scientific knowledge that he's trained for and earned a PhD in, when really he's just like recycling a syllabus.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, completely. Yeah. They've got.
So he thinks he's actually factually diagnosed someone with a real mental disease, and he's right. And that is a factual, scientific thing. He's got defects in the chemical balance of his brain, this patient, and I figured out exactly what he's got. It's this term here, bipolar or schizophrenia. I'm qualified to make that decision and put a label on it. But that doctor's just as misguided. That's just what he thinks he's right.
It's just what he's been.
That's what he's learned.
And
so it's a bigger agenda. Even the doctors are indoctrinated by the system.
They're just at the stage of indoctrination.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
They're almost way down the food chain.
What was it like?
And it used to anger me even more that these were the people prescribing the shit. Remember I used to say to them, they go, Yeah, I think we need to double the dose. Or they say to me, well, that's a very small dose, James. I go, have you ever tried this? No. How can you possibly start prescribing this shit? You never took it.
Did you say it?
Yeah, how do you know?
Oh,
They might have me have 300 milligrams of quetiapine.
what does that do?
Well, it starts at quetiapine is within 300 to 900 milligrams. Is what is the
What
doses
is it?
they'd use for antipsychotic protocol, and I was taking 25 milligrams. I was taking 50 when I first.
And
If
they
you're talking about that,
not 300.
the starting dose of quetiapine is 300, and if you take the first time you ever take 50, you become what you see on the wards with the people that were on
Really?
400.
You felt
500.
this?
Yeah, on your first dose.
What
Your
did
fir-
it do to you?
First dose. It's the sedation medication. This tranquilizes
The
those
thing.
the thing.
The man.
This is the
That can
kryptonite.
be helped.
This is the Gaian kryptonite. This is the dilution, the ultra dilution. This is the stuff that, in the aid of cutting out the low end, it rounds off the high end, and that was my complaint to them. I used to have to say that this stuff, it rounds off. That they go, look, James, it balances you out. It cuts out the bad feelings. It rounds off of this sort of bandwidth of emotional frequency. The lower end was rounded off, but the high end was rounded off considerably more as well.
Really?
And you're trapped in this very narrow band of feeling and emotion.
Okay.
And I couldn't fathom it. I couldn't deal with it.